Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rock and Turk Sports Show. My name is Rocco Foggio, and I'm one of the hosts of the show, and I'm also the #1 enemy of the fanboy. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Justin. Get that bum out of here, Turk, and Dom, the ref, Regio. For our new listeners, we're a couple former athletes turned coaches that will bring you the week's top national and local sports stories. And we'll be focusing heavily this week on the NFL, college, and high school football seasons and discussing all the topics using our unique sports perspective and experiences that we have garnered as players and now as coaches. One of the new segments that we're going to do this week is called Rock's Rant. And I'm just going to take off and bring something that kind of got me irritated during the week and express to you guys how I feel, and if you want to call in on it or send us a Twitter at Rock and Turk Sports to see if you agree with me. My rant this week is going to be on the Baltimore Ravens organization and especially owner Steve Bisciotti. The team has been speaking to Colin Kaepernick all summer, and he fits their system. Greg Roman, who was the OC out in San Francisco, is now with them. John Harbaugh called his brother Jim and kind of got the thumbs up on him. And even the GM, Ozzie Newsome, has been all on board. And as we talked last week, Joe Flacco had an injury, who's the starting quarterback. And instead of bringing in Colin Kaepernick, they went and got an Arena League quarterback, a person who they've already cut. And also Ryan Mallett has been struggling heavily, and just Colin Kaepernick is right now a better quarterback than Ryan Mallett. And what the problem is, and then also RG3 is coming in for a workout. We all know, if you're a big football fan, RG3 just doesn't have it, and Kaepernick is once again above him. And the problem is, it's really starting to show that what all the arguments have been is that the NFL is blackballing Colin Kaepernick. Everybody says, no, he's just no good. He's not a good player. He doesn't have it anymore. When statistically, when you see the things that he's done and his numbers, he's actually up there in the top 5 with passer rating, QBR, touchdown interception ratio, all those type things. I mean, when I say he's up there with Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, those sorts of guys. So that doesn't fly as far as you saying it's not working. The owner came out and said, we got to see what's best for our team. Well, last time I saw it, what was best for your team is winning. And Colin Kaepernick gives you the best chance to win. Ozzie Newsome spoke to Ben Watson, who's been in the league for 15 years. He's one of their tight ends, and he actually asked him, said, "What do you think about this?" And he said, "Mr. Newsome, if he can help us win, then bring him in." So that's kind of the bottom line. But what it's really showing you is there's probably a pushback from the owners that are saying, don't, even though they're not supposed to be colluding, say, hey, don't sign this guy. And the thing that my rant is that Colin Kaepernick had basically a nonviolent protest of the murder of people of color by police and other injustices that minorities face in total in the United States. And that was it. And whether you liked what he did or not, do I agree with what he did? No, I don't. But that's his right as an American, and that's what is great about this country. But what's even more disturbing is that he is suffering a fate that all minorities that step up and protest for their rights have happened to them. The thing is, the person that stands up and makes a point, that person is usually crushed and made an example of to show others, this is what's going to happen to you if you follow in their lead. And that's what the NFL is doing. And I believe Steve Bisciotti, he can be the one in this and help, number one, help the situation, but also help his team get better. So what I want to know is I want to watch this situation closely and see whether he's going to be a lion and be an alpha male and say, I'm going to do this no matter what, or is he just going to be as we like to say, he's just going to be a chump. He's going to be a sheep, and he's going to allow the league to tell him what to do. It's going to be very interesting to see. Ryan Tannehill got injured today, and obviously the results came back that he's not a season ender, but he's going to be out for some time. And there's another decision, what are they going to do? So as we get further into this, the arguments are going to cease that this is kind of allowing the league, what I feel is to be kind of racist, and they're, by allowing people to say they don't want this guy because what he did, when there's a lot of guys that are in the league, Johnny Manziel that's trying to come back, people are looking at signing him. You got guys that are, have domestic violence against them, have, major crimes against them that they are willing to let them step in and play. But all this guy did is he plays well in the field. His stats back it up. He can give you a chance to win, but yet and still you don't sign this man because of a stance that he made, which was his political right. I mean, his right as an American. So that's my rant today on that situation. I'm upset about it, and I'm watching it to see what happens, but I really think that he's being punished because they don't want the rest of the herd, as they say, or the rest of the rebels to get roused up by him. So I'm going to continue to follow this, and I think you should too, because this is a microcosm, the macrocosm of what is the United States. And a lot of people don't want to talk about race because they're very touchy with it, but people need to wake up, stop making excuses, and if you're sheltered, open your eyes up and see what's going on. So that's my rant for today. And if you have any comments on that, definitely call in or definitely hit us up on Twitter. That's Rockin' Turk Sports with a Z, or you can email us at rockingturksports@gmail.com. Before we get started with the rest of the show, though, I wanted to let you know that today's show is brought to you and sponsored by Blaze Contracting.
Okay, so this 35 seconds, Rockin' Turk NFL Game of the Week. I'm playing that before this next thing.
No, we got This Week in Sports.
Yeah. No, oh yeah, but there's this. Oh, I'm sorry. Rockin' Turk NFL Game Week music.
That's for after this segment.
Right, and then fantasy football preview music.
Yeah.
Where does that go?
That goes
Fantasy football.
after Game of the Week, and then you got Bum of the Week. Just
But
the same.
Sportsbook, I'm not playing Sportsbook music.
No, Sportsbook, yeah, you are playing that.
I need to know when I'm playing these.
There, it's in order on this page right here.
Okay, but this is confusing because the file names that I have are not matching this. You know what I mean?
What does he have? Hold on.
You got 20 seconds.
What's the first one?
NFL Game Week, Rockin' Turk NFL Game Week.
Yeah, that's first. And then the next one should be fantasy football.
Preview.
And then next week's one should be Bum of the Week.
Yeah. So just each new segment,
And then college football should be college football.
and then Sportsbook.
Sportsbook is that, and then that's it. That's
All right,
And
one
then,
second.
and then the outro.
Okay.
What is going on, fellas? On this, it was raining. Now it's sunny, and I don't know. It's a weird day today. So
I don't know. It's getting pretty dark outside, so it looks like the storm is coming. From what I hear, we're gonna have like a flash flood warning. So typical Thursday
Really?
Rockin' Turk show. Dangerous weather outside.
yes.
Awesome topics inside. So.
Well, that's good. You know what? Because the first day we had our first show, it was pretty brutal outside. Little hazard weather outside. So that's a good omen there.
I like that Blaze contracting hat. I want one of those.
So we give them too much pub on there.
What's up with the fatigues, man? Y'all going
Fatigue,
to war or
man.
something?
We support the military at Blake. Salute.
So what's going on? How did everybody's weekend go? How's everybody's week so far?
It's for me, it's been pretty hectic. Obviously, high school football is right around the corner, so that's a hectic time. But just really to unwind and get to some sports talk, because that is where I'm at my best and relaxed. Everybody sit back and relax. We got you for 2 hours tonight.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to rush. We won't go. We won't leave. We'll be right there with you. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we got a big show. I'm excited about this. We've got some new segments that we're going to introduce. We're going to have some interviews with some, every week, introducing. I won't give too much away. We still got some of the old stuff. We got the This Week in Sports. Give you a sports update of what's going on. We still have Bum of the Week, which has been very popular, and people been sending emails and on social media been sending in their picks. So. Turk does take that into consideration, so keep that up. And just kind of let us know what you think. But definitely call in. Let us know what you're thinking about the show. The number is 248-721-8570. Again, that's 248-721-8570. Or if you can't get through on the phone line, then hit us up on Twitter at Rockin' Turk Sports with a Z. That's Rock, the letter N, Turk Sports with a Z. So, Dom.
Yeah.
You're back in town. You was off. You once again doing your comic book thing. What's on the slate? How'd your weekend go? You're down in Tampa, right?
Yeah, I was in Tampa Bay. I'd never been there before. It was humid, to say the least. Oh my God! I had to walk across the street from the hotel to the convention center, just sweat just down my face, and the second I got outside.
After you did the business, did you hit up Ybor City?
Well, barely, just for about a couple hours. I had some time, and I was walking around. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Ybor City. If you're ever in Tampa,
Yeah.
and you're there for a couple days, you gotta go down to Ybor City. It is a blast.
Yeah. I like this city. That's pretty cool. That little that walk along the Riverwalk part. That's pretty cool. And then Colombian food I had was phenomenal. And
you'll get some good food down there.
yeah, for sure. And now I'm gonna be in Columbus, Ohio this weekend.
That's
Turk's favorite place.
Go blue!
All right, well, what are we starting off today with? What do we got?
All right, we got this week in sports news and updates. We're gonna start with Turk.
This week in sports news and updates. And, for the first time in the show, we're going to talk a little bit more about baseball. This week was the MLB trade deadline. Some interesting things happening in the major leagues. One of the most interesting things is that in Detroit, we heard so much about what's going to happen. Instead, we got, I would say, a marginal trade. Justin Wilson, who was our closer, and the son of our GM. How often do you have to say goodbye to your son twice from a team? Alex Avila, who is probably one of the best bargains in the Major League Baseball right now, because for $2 million, dude's batting .274. His slugging percentage is up. He's got 11 homers. From a catcher, it's a great catch for Chicago. And in return, the Tigers got a couple of their top prospects, which at this point, we kind of know what the Tigers are doing right now.
Yeah,
we're in full rebuild mode, and we're kind of dishing away deals. So honestly, for me, I still didn't like the only reason I didn't like it because I think it speaks to the fact that Avila doesn't really know what he's doing. I think when you looked at all the deals that were on the table, and I'm talking here locally because we probably know a little bit more than the Tigers. Locally, we probably know a little bit more because this is Michigan, this is our home team.
Right.
So locally, we heard so much about what was going to happen with some of these huge contracts, and I thought Avila's best opportunity to unload salaries was the trade deadline, and the people he unloaded were bargains. Yeah. So for me, it didn't make a lot of sense because the bargains you had were your best chips to actually be sustainable at some point, to even have a bridge of dumping some of this high salary and waiting for the younger guys to get it. So those bargains weren't good enough to get premier level talent, but what they got in return, from what I hear, is decent. In Major League Baseball, what you get, you don't even know these dudes half the time. I'm just gonna call them prospects because that's what they got in return.
But they got prospects, which is, like you said, maybe we'll be talking a year or two that was, that's one of those things like NFL, NBA, you can see impact right away. You don't know what's going to happen. This guy could be Aaron Judge in 3 years, who knows? But it's I think the Cubs got the best of the deal because that's going to solidify their playoff roster. They've been one of the hottest teams since the All-Star break, and they got a closer in Justin Wilson, who's a pretty good guy. Avila brings some leadership or stabilize the leadership they already have there, and I think they got the better of that deal.
And honestly, just to double on that, Justin Wilson's a great closer, but he can do a 7th or 8th inning depending on what the Cubs want to do. And because of when you talk about the National League and you talk about that pitcher being in your lineup, and you might want to get an extra inning out of a guy, or you might want to specialize on a guy. Justin Wilson, he plays multiple roles for a team. So I think of all the moves, Justin Wilson was one of the better ones that was made at the trade deadline for the Cubs to get him. Yeah. Whether he's the closer or whether he's the setup man, he's going to have a defined role on that team, and he's going to be pretty good for them. The next move that we talk about, Sonny Gray going to the Yankees. For me, I think the Yankees are going all in. And, this is the typical Yankees move. Basically, it was Sonny Gray and some guys that we don't know for some other guys that we don't know.
As you say prospects.
Bums. Yeah, prospects, bums, whatever you want to call it. But the meat and potatoes of the trade was Sonny Gray. And anytime that you can trade for a player like Sonny Gray and not lose a part of your core, I think it's a good move because the Yankees are always in win-now mode. They've got to.
They really are now because Girardi's job. They've got a solid team, but I think they got pitching now. They just added this for base and injury. I think, and he's hot right now. He's hot. He's back to where he was at, before the injury last year. I think Girardi. I think if they don't make a run or get deep, I think he's.
Yeah. But you know what? Offensively, they got the firepower.
Yes.
They have the firepower. So what do you go out and get? You get a pitcher that can try to stop the other team because you got enough hitting right now. You got up and down the lineup there that the Yankees are old, where they got a lot of big ball hitters.
The Bronx Bombers.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. So it made a lot of sense, and all they gave it was prospects. So for the Yankees, that was a slam dunk deal for them, for me. The Dodgers deal, I don't have a problem with what the Dodgers did. I have a problem with you giving Yu Darvish to the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the best team in majors right now, and why would you give them more ammo? I mean, you gave them one of the best closers there is that we've seen over the last several years. Why would you give that guy to the Dodgers when they won 30 out of the last 35 games before that trade? What did they need exactly? So it's just another opportunity. I mean, I think that in the National League, it's going to come down to the Dodgers and the Cubs. I think those two teams are going to be there. In the end, it's going to be really interesting if the Cubs can compete.
That's a lot of pitching.
That's a lot.
If Yu Darvish can, he looks like he's back to where he was, and you got Kershaw when he gets off the DL.
That's a lot of.
I mean, that's a game. And a lot of times, in these series, you'll go 1, you'll go 2, you'll go 3, and you might the number 1. So you could face Kershaw twice and Darvish twice in a series, and they got which they can take your other starters and push them down to relief. I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, obviously the Rangers sent him to the NL, right? They probably didn't want to see him again, but yeah, like you said, I don't know about the rich getting richer. I don't.
I mean, that's
unless those once again, we're not baseball guys, so I don't know if these prospects are like game changers in the next 2 or 3 years for them. But that made me say, wow.
This is my thing because I think, and we're going to talk Major League Baseball. I know some people are like, when are you going to talk baseball? When are you going to talk hockey? When people start caring. But just in general, okay, this is one of the reasons that you can't talk baseball other than what's important in the now is because unless you're talking about big name guys in baseball majors, there's no build up to those guys. Like we know about the high school senior in basketball who's a 5-star guy who could go to the NBA, who goes to college for a year, who goes to the pro. Baseball, you don't have that guy. You got guys who disappear for a couple of years, and then they pop up, and they're the best player on their team. And, Mike Trout. I mean, look at a guy like Mike Trout. Guy wasn't drafted at the top, but, I mean, he turned out to be a great prospect. A guy like that in football and basketball, you're going to hear about him. That's the LeBron James of baseball.
You just see him, right? Yeah. Because, we got a kid, Nick Plummer, that came from Rice. He got a first round St. Louis.
First round, a couple $1 million.
This is his second or third year.
Third year.
Right? And he's progressing, but we're probably not going to see him in the bigs probably for another 3 years, but that'll put him at about 23, 24, like when he be coming out of college, right? Yeah. So you just don't hear it. And then when he shows up, so that's the thing about baseball. These guys go down to these.
I think it's tough to have. And anytime you don't, and this is something that baseball, we should talk about this in detail later. Two sports, NHL and Major League Baseball. You wonder about, now baseball is America's pastime, so baseball is popular. They have so many games. I think that builds to their popularity. But as far as off-season talk about the sports, if you don't have a strong draft and you don't have a strong high school, college farm system where you can publicize it media-wise, then there's really not anything to talk about in the off-season. And I think if you don't build up in off-season, it hurts your sport during the season.
And I think that's why hockey also is having a problem as well.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
It's the same deal.
I mean, how many people? I know people locally. You got your pockets of people who really follow Michigan State hockey, right? But from a national, I mean, Lake Superior State has a good program, right?
Yes.
But locally, but nationally, you got programs like Boston College that are pretty good, and you got even Bowling Green where I went, a top 25 program. I don't even know it for 3 years. I went over to the game these guys are pretty good, but
it's not on TV.
Yeah, it's not, and I think that's the problem, that the college game, the high school game, you never get these guys being publicized to the point where people are watching and spending a lot of time on it. But we can talk about Major League Baseball forever. Mm-hmm. The next topic, and this one right here was kind of funny for me, just because our guy John Bones Jones was back in the ring, and for anybody who follows MMA, they know that this guy has had suspension after suspension for dealing with drug issues, and not just performance enhancing drugs. I mean, my man was really cold. Yeah, he was, and for the first time ever, he admitted that he had serious problems, and that was good to see because. I mean, not good to see he had serious problems. Good to see that he finally admitted it.
Did you see where he goes? Cormier was like, he was, all you did the weekend before was party and do coke. And he's like, yeah, and I still beat you.
Yeah, so you should try it. But he does his job. he goes out there and he looks no different than before. He does. He does.
He looked a little more focused.
Yeah, I mean, but he looks like the guy that was on his way to being the best guy in the sport before he had all the mishaps. He looked focused, and a focused John Jones is good for the sport. I will say that. And of course, like no other, he dropped a dime at the end, and he called out old man Brock, and we'll see what happens there. But that right there has got people talking about the sport more and more, and I think this is great for their sport because now people want to see that fight.
Because you got a guy that's 210 versus a guy who's 240, right?
Brock's got to be bigger than 240 though.
Or I'm sorry, not 240. I'm sorry, John Bones is 220, and Brock is probably about when he fights, he's probably about 260. But he's also the last fight he won. Well, the problem is with this fight, they're getting excited about it, but until he clears up his situation with the USADA,
yeah, he's got some issues
because of the last fight he was all amped up on steroids or whatever they found him on. So it's interesting. But UFC, they need something because with Conor gone and now John, they need John Jones. They need a big fight because all their stars are starting to fall off. Ronda fell off.
Ronda fell. I mean, can we do the what happened to Ronda Rousey show?
She's just out of it, man.
I mean, all it took. This is why this is the one thing I learned. I'm 1-0 as an amateur boxer, right? In case anybody didn't know.
In case you didn't know.
One thing I learned in all of that, it says it doesn't matter how good you are. If you get hit on that button, everybody got a different button, but if you get hit on a button, it's over. Ronda Rousey got hit on the button, and she has not been the same since.
I think she tied up who she was into it when she got beat. She just couldn't get back to center.
Yeah,
and I think that's and then she came back and she wasn't ready. And
yeah, once that's one sport that you cannot have self-doubt in. You cannot doubt yourself when you go in that ring because you will get knocked out.
We got about 30 seconds, but I actually watched this, and I wish that we could have. I wish we could have more of this. But did you check out the Mickey Garcia and Broner fight?
You know what? I saw bits and pieces of it, but I did see my man Bronner get beat down and then go make his plea. And I'm in the camp of, can we be done with Adrian Bronner? Can we say goodbye to him?
Now I say, so he came out in the first round and he won the first round. I said, okay. And then I said, this is going to be a fight. And my man just brought it to him until like the 10th round. And Broner won the 10th round. But it was a good old-fashioned boxing ass whooping. Yeah. But it was a good fight, though. It was a good fight. It wasn't boring. They could have been, Broner, I think he tried to do a little too much Floyd, be defensive. And this guy, 37-0, and I think this is on the first or second time that Broner has been the underdog, and it showed. And at the end, he panicked. And the thing that I did like about Garcia, he just kept going. But I think the problem with boxing is you don't have a lot of guys like this and fights. You don't have enough big fights like this, and I think that's why the sport's dying because it's also not getting promoted well. So.
I think Broner did a great job of trying to promote himself, but in promoting yourself, you got to back it up. Like the way he talks, people would think that he was the Floyd Mayweather, a guy that's undefeated, and he's far from that. He's lost several bouts, and he lost another one this weekend. You think he would have been humbled? He wasn't.
I think he's 33-3 now, and his 2 previous losses were by split decision. So he might have filled his mind. I won those.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's never been beat.
I never lost. I just ran out of time.
All right, guys, you ready for the next topic?
Yes, sir. What do we got going on?
NFL game week. We're going to throw it over to Rocco.
Yeah, y'all hear that music, you know what time it is. That's like when you're a little kid, when you hear the ice cream truck coming.
That's like when Madden, when somebody got Xbox and we turn the Madden on.
Yeah, man.
That's what I hear.
Hey, it is time, guys. NFL's camp started early last week. We actually have a preseason game on tonight. Football from today until the first week of February is back in full swing. And as we told you last week, we did the AFC North and NFC North and gave you our predictions on what we think is going on. We are going to jump into the NFC East and AFC East Division. So I'm going to start it off, and I'm going to go the same route that I did last week. I'm going to start with my bottom team and work my way up. So in the NFC East, I'm going to start with my 4th place team is going to be the Washington Redskins. I think that they have Kirk Cousins. They brought him back. They're having a mess with his contract situation. They franchised him again along with the transitional tag, and I think he's making $25 million this year. The past 2 years he's ranked 4th among all quarterbacks in QBR, 6th in passer rating, but all that's going to change because he's got limited weapons now. He's lost most of his receivers from Deshaun Jackson is gone, and also Pierre Garçon. So what he has now is got Terrell Pryor, who we're still debating whether that 1 year was he a really good player last year, or was he a good, decent player on a bad team and they just threw him a lot of balls. You have Jamison Crowder, who had a good year last year, and see if he can bounce back with that. But once again, when you got Deshaun Jackson running deep routes, a lot of stuff is opening up down below. You had Jordan Reed, who was targeted 201 times in the past 2 years, but he's out indefinitely now with another injury, and they really don't know. It could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. It's a day-to-day thing. So they did retain Vernon Davis. He caught 44 passes last season when he came in for the times that Jordan Reed was injured. I just don't think that's enough firepower. At running back, they have Rob Kelly, who had a decent year, and they're bringing in. He's going to compete with Samaje Perine, who might be the only really big bright spot on offense. He's been doing very well in their spring workouts and now with camp starting. Defensively, really outside of Josh Norman and Ryan Kerrigan and their two safeties and Sue Craven, their defense is very suspect up front and the front seven guys. I don't expect a lot for them, so I am picking the Washington Redskins to finish dead last in the NFC East. My next pick is going to shock people. I got the Dallas Cowboys going third, and a couple reasons why. One, just Dak Prescott, he had a great year last year. He threw 23 touchdowns, only 4 interceptions. One of the big thing about the NFL is coordinators and people can be shocked, especially when they're going up against the unknown. With Tony Romo getting hurt, and they really didn't know when he was coming back. They didn't have film on Dak, and he played above what his 4th round draft status. But defensive coordinators had a whole year to watch film and figure him out, and also with his running back Zeke being uncertain for the first couple games. And I believe this year in the NFC, every game counts. And they have a tougher schedule. So with all that, Ezekiel Elliott, he led the NFL in rushing with 1,600 yards. I think he'll be fine. They're going to incorporate him more in the pass game, but once again, we have to see what this punishment is going to go on. You got Dez Bryant, enough said. He's a big-time player. He'll be ready. Terrence Williams, very solid number 2 from Baylor. This is his 3rd year in the league, or 4th year. And he makes big plays in big moments. He shows up, and obviously they'll be looking for that. And they added a little speed. They had Cole Beasley, who's kind of a possession guy, kind of a Wes Welker type dude. But now they added Brian Switzer, who's like an Edelman, but a little bit faster. So they've got some things to do. You got old man Jason Witten in his 15th season. He's a great blocker. Pretty slow. He's definitely reliable on 3rd and short, but not gonna kill you down the seams. But O-line is probably either the best or second best behind the Raiders in the NFL, so obviously they're going to keep that ground game going. Defense has some playmakers, but the secondary is really suspect, and what they're going to need is they're going to need the offense to control the pace of the game. Because if they get some kind of shootouts or they get a team that has a high-powered offense and they get down, I think the offense, they don't want to be in games where they got to play catch-up, because I just don't think that defense, when you let people start running all over the place in the secondary, I think they're going to have problems. My 3rd team that I have is the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, with Carson Wentz in his 2nd year, is going to improve from his 62% complete percentage, and he had 16 touchdowns, and he's got to get the interception down. He had 14, but he was a rookie, so that's kind of excusable. The organization, though, went out and decided this is our franchise guy, and they retooled the offense to give him some weapons. So number 1, along with Darren Sproles, they brought in LeGarrette Blount to add some punch to the game, and they also picked up the NCAA rushing leader, Donnell Pumphrey, who's a kind of do-it-all guy. Blount had 18 touchdowns last year. He's really a big target in the red zone to stop as far as running the ball. He's 6 feet, 250. Now, when I say they retooled, they went out and got Alshon Jeffrey. Now, if he can stay healthy, he's a great number 1. Torrey Smith went out to San Francisco. They didn't have a great year. He's looking to come back to get back on track. He's a great deep threat, and that's something that Carson Wentz really didn't have. Jordan Matthews is coming back. He's going to be the starting slot receiver, and once again, he's another guy if they can stay healthy. And then Nelson Aguilar from USC, coming into his 2nd year, he's looked really good in the offseason. They got Zach Ertz, who was the security blanket for Carson Wentz last year, and they have a really good chemistry. The D-line is top-notch. You got U of M's Brandon Graham that's there, Fletcher Cox, Florida State, Timmy Jernigan, who left Baltimore, and you got Chris Long, and then you still got the 1st-round pick, Derek Barnett, who's going to be competing. So that's a pretty solid D-line with good depth. Linebackers, very young, talented. They're young, but they're a talented core. Secondary outside, they got Jalen Mills and Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod, but the real thing is their other corners, Patrick Robinson, see how he develops from last year. but they're a pretty solid team, and I would even say they might even be my dark horse. And the number one team that I had for the NFC East is the New York Giants. Got Eli Manning, threw 23 picks last year, but he should have no excuses. Once again, the Giants added plenty of weapons in the offseason. Paul Perkins is going to be your starter. He's a pretty versatile, very elusive back, average 4.4 yards a carry, and with this wide receiver core they have, it's going to open up some running lanes. You got Odell Beckham. Enough said about that. Over the first 3 seasons, he's averaging 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and 10 touchdowns a season. He's the only player in NFL history to do that. Brandon Marshall, if he can stay healthy, he's got enough in the tank to help ODB out. He's a big guy, can run good routes. He's very physical after he catches the ball. Now, obviously, I picked this before. Yesterday, Sterling Shepard got hurt, but they're saying it's more of a rolled ankle. They thought it could have been broke or a high ankle sprain, but it's not that bad. He had 8 touchdown catches as a rookie. Just needs to get a little more dynamic after the catch. Evan Ingram, really good pickup for them. He's a guy who can, I think, run around, be like a Hunter Henry. Blocking is not his forte, so he may fight to start. The O-line is solid everywhere, but right tackle, they really got to get that handled. And just defensively, maybe outside their free safety, they kind of got questions there. But outside that, defense is probably one of the best in the NFL. So I have the Giants winning the NFC East. Turk, do you concur?
You know, what's good about the NFL is that there's so much parity in the league that you can go top to bottom from one guy and bottom to top from the other. And we're gonna dispute this a little bit because I'm totally different. I'm totally looking in a totally different direction from you on some of these teams. The last place team I think in this division is Philadelphia Eagles. Reason number one, I think that Sidney Jones, I think if he was healthy, would be an upgrade in the secondary, but he's hurt this year. He's not going to play. And Patrick Robinson, who's back this year, was never really good with the Saints. Jalen Mills is another guy that you can't really count on. Malcolm Jenkins is the only guy that I think is a solid starter in that group, and he's getting older. He's on the other side of 30 as a safety. He's going to be okay, but he's not going to be a guy that you're going to get dynamic play, what you need in the NFC East. So I really wonder about their back end. That's number one. I really think that they're going to struggle to defend the pass. I do like what they do have up front. I love Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and I love Barnett was one of my favorite guys out of the draft, the guy that broke Reggie White's sack record in Tennessee. So I think they got a chance, but I think they're going to struggle against the pass. Now, offensively, I love what they did at the receiver spot. I love getting Torrey Smith. I love Alshon Jeffrey. I love giving your quarterback more options. They still got 2 good tight ends. Zach Ertz is obviously leading the way. But the question I have for them, and I think it starts at running back. I know Ryan Matthews has got to be getting cut. I know he's still there. I don't see any reason why he's on the team. I know they signed LeGarrette Blount, but LeGarrette Blount's on the other side of 30, and he has never put together consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He had a good year last year with the Patriots. Had a bunch of touchdowns. I think he scored 16, had over 1,000 yards. And what happens the next year, if you look at LeGarrette Blount's history, I mean, he disappears. He doesn't just not have a good year. He disappears. And I think having 3 running backs over the age of 30, I've never heard of that on the team. They've got LeGarrette Blount, Ryan Matthews, and Darren Sproles all on the roster right now. Right? And those are their top 3 backs. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to struggle because I think they're going to put too much on Carson Wentz's arm. And I think it's going to turn into a game where they're going to be throwing from behind a lot. And he may not have – I think he's a great talent, but I think he may struggle in year 2 because of the position they put him in. If they had a strong running back, if they would draft a running back high, which I thought they were going to do in the draft, I thought getting Barnett was a luxury when you consider having Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. I mean, 2 dynamic pass rushers. I thought Barnett was a luxury. I know they needed an end, but they didn't need a first-round end. I thought running back was the way for them to go in the first round. They completely went away from running back. I think it's going to come back to bite them. So that's my last place team. Third place team. I agree at the bottom. I still think the Washington Redskins have not done enough to get to the next level. Kirk Cousins, I think is going that signing is the franchise tag of him is going to be a looming dark cloud over the organization all year, especially if he does not start off well, because the pressure is going to be on Kirk to get better because he's in a contract year every year, or the pressure is going to be on the organization is the guy really worth locking up. So I think after this year, these 2 teams are going to part ways. I think we talked about it before. Franchising a guy for another year is asinine. You know, it doesn't make any sense. So what do the Redskins do? They just let him walk away? Do you let a quarterback who potentially is a franchise guy walk away? Because you can't tag him. You're going to be paying nearly a $30 million cap hit next year, which means you're going to be cutting a lot of guys. Now, the Terrell Pryor signing, I actually love it. I looked at Terrell Pryor last year. I watched some tape. I think the guy's figured out how to play receiver. I think from the physical tool point, he's got it all. I think it was an upgrade for them from a number one receiver spot. I thought Deshaun Jackson and the guy who went to 49ers, I can't remember his name. Pierre Garçon. I thought they were good receivers and they would give you big plays. But as far as being a red zone receiver to go along with Jordan Reed, I think that really helped them to have those guys. It's going to be interesting to see who steps up at the number 2 receiver. They got some young guys. They got the kid coming back from TCU, who's Boykin, who didn't play Dotson, who didn't play much last year, and they got the slot out of Duke, who was pretty good last year, who's got a chance to be even better. Offensively, I think they'll be okay. Defensively, I think they're kind of just a middle of the pack team. I mean, Josh Norman is a very good corner. He's your best player. And I mean, up front, they're still a decent team, but they're nothing to write home about. I still think that they're going to be fine because they got Kirk Cousins, and I just think that they're going to be a better fit than Philadelphia. Now, this is where it gets interesting because I think the New York Giants finished second, and the reason I'm picking the New York Giants is because as great as their defense is, I don't have faith. Eli's getting older, and old Eli still makes dumb mistakes. And I think having Brandon Marshall and having ODB and having Sterling Shepard and then adding the toy from Mississippi, the tight end, I think it's good at one point where he's got a lot of weapons, but it's bad because he's got a lot of weapons, which means that they're going to throw the ball a lot more. And Eli, if you look at his career the last 5 years, his interceptions are up. So it's for a guy, a veteran of his stance, he's throwing interceptions and fumbling the ball at an alarming, at a David Craig rate.
23 picks is like rookie second year stuff. He's a 10-year veteran.
Yeah, but he's doing this every year, and great. It's great they have a great. I mean, they probably have the best defense in the league. Getting Jason Pierre-Paul back was huge. Janoris Jenkins is one of the best corners in the league. Landon Collins from the guy that was a rookie in the league. You didn't see this. I think there's no other player in the league that made the jump as big as he did from his rookie to his second year of that draft class. His first year, he was a in-the-box tackling guy, and his second year, he became a playmaker. So it's interesting to see what they do. I think they're stacked at all 3 levels. Janoris Jenkins and DRC are the only 2. I think the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants are the only 2 teams that have 2 top 10 rated corners in their secondary, and that's just based on their Pro Football Focus report. So these guys you're talking about yards per pass attempt. I mean, these guys lock people down on the outside, and they rush the passer. Jason Pierre is back. It's going to be interesting to see if they replace the big fella in the middle who went to the Colts, because I think he was a big part of their run defense. And who I'm talking about the guy out of Detroit Southwestern, went to Ohio State, Jonathan Hankins.
Yeah.
Hankins is a run stuffer, and he was very good at it. They were very good about stopping the run and the pass last year. It's going to be interesting to see if they replace that. Number 1, and I hate to say it, because I'm not a Cowboy fan, but the Dallas Cowboys, I think, I love what they did in the draft. I absolutely love it. If you look at the team, they got a loaded offensive line. They've got arguably the best running back in the league coming back. They got a quarterback who's on a bargain right now. Same kind of way that Seattle set it up. And what did they do? They poured into the defense. They did what Logic said. They said, hey, how can we impact this team the most? If we get young players, where can they play and help us the most? It's going to be on defense. So they went out and got Taco Charlton. Taco Charlton, if he progresses from what he did last year, it's going to be a good pick for him. Strong side end who can rush the passer. That's a good pick. The one that I'm really interested to see what happens this year is Jalen Smith, because Jalen Smith was a top 5 player last year, who they're saying is about 85% right now, and that leg being back. If he can get to 85% of what he was in college, then him and Sean Lee, those are 2 very good tackling run linebackers in your secondary. I mean, in your middle seven, in your front 7. In the secondary, I know they lost a lot of guys. They did. I agree, but they really only need. I mean, Byron Jones is a good safety. He's a hybrid guy who can play safety. He plays the slot for them. I think the biggest thing is going to be if one of these young guys steps up at corner. They need one of these guys to step up. It's going to be interesting to see if the local guy Jordan Lewis can get us some help in the nickel, and it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But I still think, just like last year, if you looked at Dallas' team, they won 13 games with a defense that everybody knew was not good last year, and I think that defense has improved. So if I look at their offense, it's gotten better because they got a slot guy like Ryan Switzer who's going to help in the intermediate routes. I look at that team and say the offense is as good, if not better. And I look at the defense and say if they just improve a little bit, where can this team go? And that's why I think Dallas is going to be the best team in the NFC East. So I got Dallas winning it. I think they're a 13-game winner this year. I think it comes down to New York and Dallas, but I like Dallas just because of that run game and what they did in the draft on defense.
Are you not taking into account though they got a tougher? I mean, they were 4-12 year before, so they got an easier schedule. This year they got a harder schedule. So
I agree. I think they do have a hard schedule, but anytime you can run the ball, and not just run it.
The reason, and I agree with you in the sense that I fought with it. The thing that came down to me was if he gets suspended for 4 to 6 games, that because you got your man coming in, can't think of his name, the guy that came from Washington. That was the rookie of the year. He signed with them last year, and then after that, I mean, you're starting to get down to I don't think he creates the same fear that Zeke creates.
Oh, absolutely not.
So that's why I think with this hanging over their head,
if he gets 4 to 6 games, then I'm changing my prediction. This is based on Zeke playing 14 games.
Well, if you're doing fantasy, you're doing some kind of something. You gotta make a decision before you get into it, right? So,
hey, if I'm in the top 5 in the fantasy, I'm drafting Zeke.
Oh, really?
Yes, suspension and all. I'm drafting Zeke because I know behind that line he's gonna get to his 22 carries.
So who is your? So like I said, I put my dark horse since I had New York winning it all. I have my dark horse sliding in there. Is the Phillies? Who you got? I mean, not the Phillies. I'm sorry, the Eagles.
The dark horse in this division. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I picked them last, all right, and there's some question marks. I think this is how that team comes out of nowhere and becomes very good. If the offense is lights out, and by lights out, I mean that Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey and the guys they got coming back from last year. I mean, if Carson Wentz figures out second year where he's lights out, then they've got a chance. But they got the tools to put up prolific numbers offensively. I just don't expect a second-year guy with a bunch of old running backs behind them to be lights out.
Like they did.
And they might as well. I mean, think about it. Think about it. If Darren Sproles would have retired 5 years ago, we would have said you had a good career.
But
he was old 5 years ago.
He was a bit player. I mean, he's still a role player. And then they got Pelford they brought in. We'll see what he does.
But who are these guys?
I understand. But look at they run the same offense that, and we got to go to the East. But they run the same offense that they run in Kansas City. They didn't have they do running back by committee out there. They had Kendrick West, they had Jamal Charles, and they had Spencer.
Well, I mean, they only did running back by committee when Jamal Charles went out.
But Spencer was getting carries too. I mean, they're so we'll see.
I think I will hope they run a little more wide open in attack because they got better weapons than Kansas City had. I will say that though.
So
you'll agree with me there.
We're sliding over to the AFC East now. Now I know these guys aren't your bum of the week, but my bum of the year are going to be the Jets. They are dead last. And here's the thing: I usually have notes for anybody who doesn't watch on Facebook Live. Using some notes because I want to make sure I get all the info in. I didn't even write anything down for them. That's how they are the worst team in the NFL. There is not one good outside of Jamal Adams getting drafted. And their D-line, which those guys are all probably hitting the gas after this year, they got 3 dominant defensive linemen, Leonard Williams, Muhammad Wilkerson, and Sheldon Richardson. Outside of that, and then you got the safety they just drafted. Outside of that, it is really a team full of bums on offense and defense. It's some aging guys. So this is they must be doing the Philadelphia 76ers tanking and trying to start a process. So I didn't even write anything down on them. They're bums. My third place team, I have the Buffalo Bills. Tyrod Taylor, to me, and I'm sorry, whatever you say, he's an average quarterback. This isn't Virginia Tech. This isn't running around creating excitement. He's an average quarterback. He needs to be more consistent. And obviously, they got rid of 12 gauge, so they're probably not looking to push the ball down the field. Which I don't know. I mean, unless they saw something they didn't like. As you say, guys are getting older. Shady is 20. LaShawn McCoy is 29 years old now. He's got some wear and tear on him. Rex Ryan beat the brakes. One thing with Rex Ryan, he's going to use the hell out of his running back. So he had a lot of wear and tear these last couple of years. They lost their backup Gillislee. He went to the Patriots. So we're looking at that. And then you got Sammy Watkins, who's a phenomenal player, but he can't stay healthy. He's playing 6, 7, 8 games. You got Andre Holmes, a free agent pickup from the Raiders, which I don't think was that fabulous. And then they drafted Zay Jones, 37th overall. So we'll see what happens. Charles Clay, he's good when he's healthy, but inside word is he's banged up and beat up. Good O-line, a lot of good run blockers, very bad pass protectors. Defense switched to a 4-3. Defensive line liked it. Weak linebacking core. Outside of Micah Hyde at safety, their secondary is super sketchy. So I don't really see the Bills. I think they might get a little bit better, but I don't see them doing anything of great importance. My third team is the Miami Dolphins, and I know we had a little. And today, you know, the NFL and things move fast. Ryan Tannehill today got hurt, but they just came out and said it's just a hyperextended knee, but he's probably going to maybe miss a week or maybe the first game, maybe 2 games this season. So we'll see. Maybe Colin Kaepernick goes down there. Who knows? Jay Ajayi just had a concussion. I think he's going to be all right, but he was the 4th leading rusher in the league. I think he's definitely, he wants to get more involved in the passing game as well. So I think that's a great piece to build around. Receiver-wise, I think if they all come to play, Jarvis Landry is only right behind his buddy Odell as far as receptions and yards and touchdowns. Kenny Stills is #1 deep threat. He had 9 touchdowns last year, so that's going to stretch the field. And Devontae Parker is a really good athlete. He has not met his potential, but they're saying right now that the way he's picked up things this offseason, they're looking for a breakout year from him. Julius Thomas is back with his coach from Denver, Adam Gase, so I think you're going to see the same things you saw in Denver. That, you know, he went down to Jacksonville and they didn't use him the right way, so I think he's going to get a little pep in his step. O-line is very good in run blocking and pass pro. They shouldn't, you know, especially where they got a lot of big, you know, some of the better run blockers veterans in the league. Defense is good. They're maybe, I'd say, above average if they can stay healthy in camp. But right now it looks pretty scary. Miami guys are getting injured and all kinds of stuff going on that way. So the Miami Dolphins are my #2 pick, and obviously everyone, you know, they want to get upset with me, but I'm not a hater. I just to unseat the king. I got the Patriots winning. I mean, really, I'm not giving all of it. You know, Tom Brady, don't have to talk about what he's doing and what he is. Running back is going to be by committee. They still have James White, Deion Lewis, but they signed Rex Burkhead, who they like a lot and say he's doing well, and they got Mike Gillislee, who I think is an underrated back in the league. You got Brandon Cooks. He's the Randy Moss 2.0 kind of as far as what he's going to do. He's going to inject a deep threat into the system. Then you got Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan and Malcolm Mitchell. You got a lot of weapons from the use. Gronk is back, and just in case he can't, we'll see if he's old Gronk or we see in the beginning of the end. They brought in Dwayne Allen, who again I feel is an underrated tight end league, and he's a great red zone threat if you look at that. Above average O-line, they got to stay healthy. This defense, I'm not going to get into all of it. This may be their best defense they've ever had here. As far as, I mean, they got an in situation. They'll find somebody, but if you're going to nitpick their right or left in, you know, they got with Ninkovich retiring. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, secondary wise, they got depth. Linebacker wise, they're stacked, and a team that was already good, they went and filled their deficiency. So I got, obviously, New England Patriots winning the East.
Who's your dark horse?
My dark horse, I'd say the Miami Dolphins, but now it just depends. You know, I think this season, getting off to a good start is going to be important. And if he's out for 2 to 3 games to start the season, and they just go with Matt. They're talking about they like Kaepernick, but they're also very happy with Matt Moore. We saw what happened to Matt Moore. Matt Moore is still trying to figure out what happened from the playoffs when Bud Dupree blew his brains out.
You know where he's at? I don't know. He probably hasn't even seen the play yet.
So
is that me? So
with that, I don't know. Like I will pick them as a dark horse if Tannehill comes back healthy because they were a playoff team and they're hungry now. They're a little hungry.
Okay, all right. And so here I am, and like I said, I'm so excited the NFL is here. August, is there not a greater month than the August-September? Like the August-September like transition has got to be like the best period of the year. I know everybody loves summer, but that start of camp, then we get like tonight.
I think there's us because we're football players, yeah. So that was for us.
We get a little sprinkle of preseason football tonight, and then this weekend we get a little more. And you know we're gonna look up a couple weeks, and it's gonna be college games on full blast. Then it's just like leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me kids go upstairs, leave me alone. Just give me some hot wings. Okay, I love you too. So, all right, so in the New York Jets, and I think we can just if we did a bum of the week for an actual organization. It would be the New York Jets because what the New York Jets told us this offseason. I agree with you. I don't know how the rule works in the NFL to where you think that you can just bum your way to being good because to do it year after year is almost impossible. Yeah. You can't do it that way. But what the Jets did this offseason by not addressing they tried. the Jets actually went out and tried to get worse.
They got rid of all their good players.
Yeah, they got rid of all their good players, and then they drafted a safety in the first round, a luxury. So I mean, Calvin Pryor was not a horrible guy.
Right, exactly.
Jamal Adams is a luxury pick, but you take that guy and you got deficiencies at every level of offense. You don't have any receivers. I
Have a quarterback.
Yeah, Decker's gone. Brandon Marshall. I don't know who's playing quarterback. The running back's got to be looking like, hey man,
Bilal Powell. That's
yeah.
it.
He's like, am I the whole offense? I'm catching. I'm doing it all. Because I mean, who's catching the ball? I don't know. The Jets are just a bad organization right now. So let's just leave that there. Now, third, I really think that the Miami Dolphins, and I think this is the year that the Ryan Tannehill falls off the gravy train. All right, and I know he dodged it. He dodged the bullet this year. The reason I say the Dolphins are in very close, because if you look at the salary cap situation there with Sue, with the other defensive end, is it Cameron Wake? They've got some high-end guys making huge amounts of money. And if this doesn't work this year, you're going to see a complete rebuild. And I think this is a team that watch out for by trade deadline if you don't see a couple pieces get moved, because they have a couple pieces. But don't be surprised if this doesn't work this year and they start moving guys, because I don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. I know I've seen some highs and I've seen some lows. I don't believe in him as a long-term solution in the Miami organization.
I agree.
And I think offensively they got a couple good receivers. I agree. But after that, I mean, I'm not really counting on Jay Ajayi to be anything more than just a guy who was a situational runner who made the best of those situations. I don't think he's a bell cow.
He had 3 games of 200 yards in one season.
I know, but if you look at that, he had 3 games of 200 yards, and if you look at the rest of the season, it wasn't very good. So what does that say? Did he have 3?
Well, I think when Tannehill started going in and out of the lineup, I think it's a lot. And they got weapons. So I think that's why I'm shocked that you said they're third. Now, granted, I'm with you on Tannehill. I haven't been sold since they converted him from wide receiver to quarterback, and they're just like he's a first round pick
out of nowhere. Like he's such an athlete. I don't see it. But they did dodge it. It's gonna be interesting to see if they do go get Colin Kaepernick. I think we need to in this show we need to have the Colin Kaepernick watch, and every week it needs to be pointed at, like last week it would have been the Ravens. Right, so this week
today it was the Dolphins.
Yeah, today it's the Dolphins. Like we need to have a live Colin Kaepernick watch to see, because at some point we're gonna go over 32 teams probably 3 times, and he's still gonna not have a job.
Well, that's what my rant was today.
I know. It was well founded, because it's very apparent that it's more than talent, because they are absolute bums. Who picked the Ravens picked up a guy who was an arena league.
He's already cut him.
Yeah. They picked him up and
Brian Mallett is struggling tremendously.
So when your all-world GM says we need to get this guy, your coach who won the Super Bowl says we need to get this guy, and then
the OC is from
he says we need to get this guy, and then the owner says nah, something's wrong there.
Pray for us.
Back to them, I think the Dolphins are my number 3 team. Number 2, I like the Buffalo Bills, and I think that this is going to be the year. I love what they did with Sammy Watkins. I think for the first time they put their foot down and said, hey, you can't be healthy. This is not about ability. This is about you being dependable. All right? If you, it's a win-win for them, because if he balls out, they can franchise tag him and work on the deal. But right now, he doesn't deserve that next year, because the dude can't stay on the field. Until he does that, they don't have any reason to pay him.
And they get excited because when he's on the field, he's phenomenal.
Yeah, when he's phenomenal. And I think Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback than people give him credit for. If you look at his numbers, he's a better quarterback. I just think that his defense has let him down year after year to where he's playing from behind the line. I think that he's a very good quarterback with the lead. If you give that guy the lead, he can kill a game, because he's mobile and he's accurate. You're mobile and accurate, and you need first downs. I wouldn't want to go against Tyrod Taylor.
I just threw up my mouth. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to swallow that. That's I can't believe
I'm telling you, I think he's a better quarterback than people give him credit for. If I had to rank the quarterbacks he'd be number 2 above Tannehill. That's me. All right, so Buffalo. Shady McCoy, he's got 1 or 2 years left in him. We'll see what happens. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what they do to replace Stephon Gilmore, because that's a huge piece that they're going to miss out on. And there's not much to say about their defense. I just think that from a consistency standpoint, they're in a position to keep a core together and believe in what they're doing better than the Miami Dolphins. And you know what? All of this is window dressing, because it really doesn't matter 2 through 4. It's all about the New England Patriots. Team's probably going to go undefeated. They're number 1 in my look. And I think they're going to go 6-0 in the division, so those other teams are going to be lucky to win 8 games. When we talk about 2 through 4, we're talking about the battle to get to 9. That's really what it's going to be about. The New England Patriots, I think, and I agree with Rocco, that team defensively is scary. You look at what they got on. You say, how did they get all this under one salary cap? I don't know how they got Gilmore, and they were able to keep Brandon Cooks. They got Brandon Cooks on offense, and they got Gilmore on defense. I mean, you're talking about 2 of the biggest free agents, not free agents because one of them was through a trade, but 2 of the biggest moves in the offseason. We're getting those 2 guys. and they didn't lose anything.
And they solidified their backup tight end.
Yeah,
They solidified
Dwayne
their
Allen
run game.
is like you said. I love Dwayne Allen because I think Tom Brady's always a guy that's gonna make you better. And if he was a good player, but they forgot about him in Indianapolis
Well,
way
they
too
had,
much.
They had the other dude from Stanford.
Yeah, they had
Fleener.
Yeah, they forgot about him way too much. But from a guy that's going and Fleener was more of a flex tight end guy. This is an end of the line blocker, and I think he fits right in that role.
He might even be better than Bennett.
I don't know if he's gonna be better than Michael Bennett. Bennett was damn good.
As far as a block, but I'm just saying.
He's gonna be a better blocker. He's gonna be a better
But
blocker.
he's a better receiver.
Than
too.
Bennett?
He might not run as great as routes, but he gets open.
Oh man, I don't know if he's better than Bennett. Bennett was good.
He's good.
But I think he's gonna be a solid player for them. I think he's a guy that can catch 35 passes in that offense.
And he'll be a
4
red zone guy.
touchdowns. Yeah, he's gonna be fine. I mean, it's nothing to talk about. Not only are the Patriots loaded, but if something ever happened to Tom Brady, they've got freaking Garoppolo backing them up.
And they Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, so, I mean, you look at the team, I mean, I can't think of one spot where they are not in a great position. So, New England Patriots, I think, are going to have a chance to go 16-0 this year, like they did a couple years ago, and eventually lose in the Super Bowl to the Giants. And the recipe to beat them is going to be get to the passer, get to the passer, get to the passer. And if you look at their division, nobody can get to the passer like that. I know Miami's supposed to, but Sue has not had a double-digit sack season since he left Detroit, and Cameron Wake is on the other side of 35. So you look at those teams.
With an Achilles injury.
Yeah, with an Achilles, come back from Achilles. Look at the teams in AFC East. It's a no-brainer that New England's going to go undefeated in that division, at least, if not in their whole 16-game season. So, and my dark horse on all of that, I will say this, though. If Ryan Tannehill figures it out, they've got a chance to get into the playoffs. They can't win this division. There's no way they win this division. I bet my title on it. House, okay, maybe not the title on the house. I might be ahead of myself.
It's the
but
paperwork.
Yeah. I think they have a chance to get into the playoffs, maybe win 9 or 10 games if Tannehill figures it out, because they do have some tools. And if they get ahead in games, Cameron Wake, it's hot down there. The Achilles starts feeling good. Sue starts start stomping people. They might have a chance on defense to even, to be above average. So that's my sleeper team.
All right, Dom.
All right. Next topic, fantasy football season preview. We're going to send it over to Rocco.
Once again, you hear that music and it just gets you excited. I'm a big fantasy guy. All right, I was, when I got into it about 8 years ago, I used to talk bad about it, but had a little fun with it. Not a fanboy with it. Don't let it take over my life, but it is fun. And then 2 years ago, I discovered FanDuel, and I talked to a guy, and he was winning some money on there. I was like, this guy's winning money. I can win some money.
I will attest to that Rocco is a professional FanDuel and DraftKings user, because what I've seen so far, this stuff must work. I didn't believe in it before, but now I'm becoming a believer.
I mean, I would have told it all together in 2 years. I would have told about $210,000 all together.
Can you say that on the internet? Can we say you won money on FanDuel?
I don't see why not.
Well, should we get like a drop or something from them for that?
Hey,
No?
you know
Yeah.
what? Give me some free credits and I'll
Free credits. Free credits. What do I cash in the free credits?
Give me the FanDuel points.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do is now during once things I'm not going to talk about, like they're so hyped up about the NFL. They have FanDuel night for this preseason game. I mean, anybody who's playing that is a gambling junkie. You got a problem.
But please believe there's going to be a couple thousand.
Oh, sure it is. So what I'm going to do for the next couple weeks until the season gets started, I'm just going to give you the top 5 of each position group, and then as we get into it, we'll start giving you guys advice on what you should do, who you should put in, who should start, and what's going on. So I figured I'll start with what everybody wants to know is the quarterback. So I went through a lot of different fantasy draft stuff and went through a lot of guys and looked for my own system and rank my top 5 in each position and my bottom 5 we should stay away from. So I'll start with number 5. I know he's coming off an injury and he's still slow, but my number 5 guy you should draft in the top 5 is Andrew Luck. I think they got it together. I think the coach knows this is it for him. They put in some weapons. They got some guys I think that are going to now step up. Now I'm just talking about they're going to be behind in games. So he's going to have to throw the ball. So a couple years ago, I had Matt Stafford, right? And he did me well in fantasy because Lions were always behind, and he was always come back.
Okay, and this, just so people know, this is going to be the interactive period of our show where we argue about this because Rocco has started off with a ridiculous number 5. I want to go on record as saying I'm not even sure Andrew Luck is going to be able to throw a pass this year.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
Based on what?
They're taking it slow. Why should he? First day of camp? Why Cam Newton didn't throw the first day of camp?
Yeah, but we know Cam Newton can throw. We don't know if Luck can throw.
We've seen it. He can play ball, bro.
I know he's a turnover machine. I think he's one of the most overrated players in the NFL.
I don't know if he's overrated. I think he's had problems with his old. They got the GM out there. I'm just telling you right now, from a fantasy standpoint, we're not talking about football on the field. They're going to be down. He's going to have to sling that rock around, and he's going to put up some numbers.
I think what
he's projected as is basically 299 points, which is about 18 points a game.
Yeah, he's in your top 5.
Well, it just most guys do. They go get a running back first, right?
Yeah.
So he's what's probably going to be left over when most guys go. So
these are your top drive steals, top 5 steals. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback, but
this one.
We are disputing this because this Andrew Luck pick. You got me questioning all of your. Let me take back my credits on that FanDuel and DraftKings.
I didn't say I was going to take him.
If you think Andrew Luck is a top 5 quarterback
this
in NFL fantasy,
I'm helping out the guys. This is more for the guys that are playing in the season. FanDuel, what I love about it is in DraftKings, I got a different lineup every week.
Yeah.
This is more for the guys that are in their leagues, that are playing, that are going to go the whole. I can't do. Once you play FanDuel, I'm telling you right now, if you like doing the whole week thing, the whole season thing and all that, don't play FanDuel or DraftKings, because the minute your dude gets hurt and you got to mess around, each week I can just go find somebody different. So if you like the season, don't do that, because you'll never go back to it. My second pick is Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is, I know they got Sarkisians down there. I think he's just going to pick up. I don't think it's going to be too much of a drop off from Shanahan. And he's got the weapons down there. Now, I know that Julio's still dealing with the foot thing, but he's always hurt. He's like kind of how Calvin was. He's always hurt, but he always shows up on game day. And I think that they've done enough with their running game. I think they're just going to put up the same numbers that they put up last year. Drew Brees is my number 3. So anyway, they're looking at Matt Ryan is going to have 301 points this year. That's about 18 points a game as well. Drew Brees. I think that they're still the old Saints. I think they're really good on offense. I think on defense that they are going to be suspect, and he's going to be a lot of shootout games, and he's going to put up another 5,000-yard season and put up all kinds of points. He's projected for 311 points, and that's about 19.4 points a game, but we know that's just an average. Breeze has some of those crazy. He's just got to follow what's going on that week, who he's playing, and what the defense he's going against. My number 2 is Tom Brady. With all these weapons, I'm looking back at when he threw those 50 touchdowns with Randy Moss. I think that he's obviously everybody's going to go get him. They're looking at him to have 329 points for the season. That's about 20 points a game. Number 1, I got to go with my guy, is Aaron Rodgers. He's won me over a couple past years. He's won me some fantasy leagues. The guy, they didn't hammer out their running game. They just brought back the receiver that gained about 10 more pounds. So he's got some weapons up there, and he's going to be slinging that ball all the way around, especially in those cold, when some of these teams come up in that cold weather, it doesn't really affect or bother him. So they got Aaron Rodgers with 327 points at 20.4 points a game. So those are my top 5 guys. Now, I'm going to tell you, if I got to tell you to stay away from these guys right here, you probably shouldn't be playing at all, and definitely shouldn't be playing for money. My number 5 bottom guy is Jared Goff. I think they might be behind the Jets. It probably goes the Jets, then maybe the Rams, as far as not doing anything in the draft and not having any personnel, no receivers, no other than the running back that they have, Gurley. They just don't have anything. So he's blessed. Mike Glennon, because I believe that if the guys are healthy in Chicago, he could do something, but that's a big if. And they just don't have, Jordan Howard's running the ball. I just don't think that here they're going to put up that many points. I think it's, and their defenses, they're going to be behind, but I just don't see that. Right now we got, even though Hugh Jackson came out and said Brock Osweiler is really pushing for that number 1 start, right now they got Cody Kessler starting, and he's a bum. He's a USC guy that had some numbers, but he can't stay healthy. He's undersized, and I just don't see it. And they don't have really a great receiving core. We'll see what Corey Coleman does, and if Josh Gordon comes back. Trevor Siemian showed what he did last year. I can't see him really getting any better. He doesn't have a great arm. He's more like an Alex Smith. Don't want to take a lot of chances. The coach right now is not really happy with him in practice, saying that he doesn't. Pat Lynch is terrible, and this guy said Trevor Siemian doesn't take any chance. He's scared to make a mistake. And my bottom guy is probably not because he doesn't have ability, but Josh McCown. He's 38. He's just, as they say, he's getting them checks. and he's getting ready to get his head kicked in. And I don't know, in one of those young guys is going to come in. Maybe Hackenberg's going to come in. So as far as fantasy, those are my top 5 quarterbacks and my bottom 5. Do you want to step in and see what you got?
I took some notes based on what you said because it was pretty interesting. Like I said, I don't know, the Andrew Luck thing, it'd be full of me because I can't think of any way that the guy's the top 5 quarterback. I can't think of anything he's going to do this because the guy turned over the ball too much and he's not healthy. So I can't depend on him, and he's going to get deductions in my fantasy league. So I'm staying away from him. And for me, he's definitely in the bottom of my second tier. I don't trust it. I don't trust Andrew Luck at all. I call him in. So, number 5 on my list, who I think is going to have a dynamite year, is Matt Stafford, the Detroit Lions quarterback. I think,
as I said last week, he is a Detroit fanboy.
Hey, if I was a fanboy, I'd put him at number 1. But if you look at Matt Stafford year after year, the guy is going to give you 25 touchdowns. He's limited his interceptions the last couple of years. Every year under Cooter, he's gotten better. He's thrown for over 42.
Under who?
Under Cooter. Cooter, that guy. So he's thrown for over 4,200 yards, and he's over 62% completion percentage. So I think he's going to be better this year, and they got a better O-line, which means they're going to have a better running game. I think he's going to be a lot more efficient and a lot more big plays through play action. Expect the Ebron to Stafford show to be strong this year. I expect that to at least produce 7 to 8 touchdowns. So Stafford's my number 5 guy. Having Theo Riddick and Amir Abdullah back is definitely going to help him in the screen game and the check down. I think that's going to really be big for him. Number 5, and it's different from your list, I got Matt Ryan. I think what Matt Ryan did last year, number 4, I mean. Matt Ryan is going to at least repeat that success. He's got all his weapons back. Julio's going to be better than he was last year. He's got all his receivers back, and they were able to keep both their running backs, which I think was huge for them. Their starting running back Freeman is not holding out, which was a big deal. I think for him to be there, and I know he got an insurance policy. They're going to be able to run the ball, and Matt Ryan's going to be able to throw the ball over the field because all his weapons are back. They got one more year in that offense. I know they got a new offensive coordinator with Sarkisian, but they're going to keep a lot of things the same for him. And it's a no-brainer that Matt Ryan's definitely a top 5 quarterback. So I agree with you there, number 4. Number 3 for me, I think this is the year that Russ Wilson gets it all back. I think Russ Wilson had a down year. If you look, he still had a couple really good games, but I think the Doug Baldwin and Jimmy Graham show is going to get better. If you look at what they did in the second half of the season, those guys really picked it up. Jimmy Graham started to figure it out. Russ, I think, is going to be his mobility is back. He's healthy for the first time. He wasn't healthy, and he had an ankle last year going into the season. He's healthy right now. I expect him to be a top 5 fantasy quarterback because he's going to run and he's going to throw, and he's got a running back again now as a starter who's looking nice and slim. He's looking nice and slim out there in the Seattle Rams. Yes, very svelte. Number two, no-brainer, Tom Brady. I think with all the tools he's got, it's a no-brainer. The guy's going to complete a lot of. He's going to have a lot of completions. He's going to throw touchdowns. I don't even need to talk about what Brady does because if Brady's on the field, the guy's going to be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy. Period. Number 1, I agree with you. I think Aaron Rodgers. Just because I think Aaron Rodgers is still in his prime. Though he's nearing the end, he's got a healthy Jordy Nelson, a year removed from that injury, and that guy's still very good. And I think that trio of receivers, it's going to be interesting to see if they can get their slot receiver to bounce back because he had a down year last year. And that guy I'm talking about is number 18. You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the name. I can tell you. Cobb, Randall Cobb. It's going to be interesting to see if he bounces back. But either way, they've got a good core of receivers, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good year. Those are my top 5 quarterbacks. Now, my bottom 5, these are the guys to stay away from, all right? I'm going to make this real simple for you, all right? Number 1, got to stay away from. It's whoever is under the Jets center, all right? That's number 1. If you see Jets on the choices, don't pick that guy. You don't want any Jets quarterback. In fact, I would tell you that you're better off getting a backup on another team than you are getting started for the Jets. That's how bad I think the quarterback play is going to be in there. Number 4, anybody who starts for the Cleveland Browns. I'm making it real simple for you. This is very simple. Whoever it is, whether they're saying it's going to be Kessler right now, whether it's Deshaun Kaiser, I don't care who it is. If they bring in Colin Kaepernick and he's starting on the Browns team, don't play him because this year that team is going to suck. And I think Kenny Britt was one of the worst signings of the offseason, and they're going to see that the guy is not a consistent guy to be depending on as your number 1 receiver. He's never been over 1,000 yards. The guy is not going to be a bell cow guy. They missed the boat by not re-signing Terrell Pryor, and it's going to show. And other than that, they got a bunch of young guys who are still trying to figure it out. I think that's going to struggle. All right, after that, I think it's Mike Glennon. And the only reason I say Mike Glennon, not the Bears starter, because they've named Mike Glennon as the starter. And if you're paying a guy $14 million, I'm probably going to believe you. So Mike Glennon is going to be the starter. They've got a lot of question marks at receiver. You hope Kevin White is going to be the starter. And I always, when I'm looking at a quarterback, I'm always looking at the overall body of offense. When I'm looking at a guy, if he can make the next step. Mike Glennon is in a good situation. Only problem is he doesn't have a number one receiver to throw to. Is it going to be interesting to see if Jordan Howard can repeat what he did? If Jordan Howard can be successful, Mike Glennon is not in my bottom five, but right now I don't think Jordan Howard is going to be as good as he was last year because there's no Alshon Jeffrey. I think teams are going to make him throw over the top, and Mike Glennon is not a guy that can beat you deep. He's a West Coast passer, and they don't have West Coast receivers. Bad combination. So we'll see what happens there. I'd stay away from him. Number 2, the guy I've got is Jared Goff. And Jared Goff, I expect to be better than he was last year. These are my bottom 5, so this is the number 2 quarterback to stay away from. Jared Goff is going to be better last year, but he's still going to suck. That's the problem. The Rams still year after year, they have not gone out and established the number 1 receiver. Kenny Britt left. They didn't get anybody to replace him. They're still trying to figure out who's the go-to guy in that offense. Todd Gurley is feeling the brunt of it because if they can't run the ball, they can't throw the ball. The offense is going to be a train wreck, but the guy's got to have talent. He was the number 1 pick. I expect him to be better than these other bums on the list. Number 1, the guy that I say is going to be a guy that not only is he going to be bad this year, but he's not even going to be on the squad after this season, is Blake Bortles. I wouldn't touch Blake Bortles. I wouldn't, and it's a shame because if the Jacksonville Jaguars had an average quarterback, they could compete for the playoffs this year. But Blake Bortles is so bad. If you look at what he did his last 10 games, the guy was a turnover magnet. He didn't know where to go with the ball. He looked lost on the field.
He just threw 5 picks in their first scrimmage.
Yeah, and now he's gotten significantly worse. This is a guy that they picked high. He was a top 3 pick in the draft. I think the Blake Bortles show in Jacksonville. Maybe he needs to get away from home because he went to the local school. He went to the University of Florida.
That Tom Coughlin will get him on the first thing
Yeah,
smoking.
so I think it's going to be bye-bye Blake. Don't touch him with a 10-foot pole down there in Jacksonville.
Well, before we get out of here with this, I agree with you on most of it, but I can't believe you said you talked about my Andrew Luck pick, but then you got Russell Wilson or Drew Brees.
Yes, I got you. I think Drew Brees he's not as good as Tom Brady, so that age is going to catch up with him.
Well, with that, I'm going to I want to call you a bum on that. So with that, we're going to switch it over to my favorite segment, and that is Turk's Bum of the Week.
Welcome to another segment of Bum of the Week. Now, let me put this disclaimer out this week. I have to put a disclaimer out for Echo Network and the Rocky Turk Sports Show. The thoughts of Justin Turk on the Bum of the Week do not reflect those of the Rocky Turk Sports Show or those of the Echo Network, because we believe that all people are created equal and that none of that should be held against them in a court of law or in a social media show or on a podcast. But since I am neither one of those, I can be a little biased. My Bum of the Week is going to be a little controversial this week because some people will look at it as a chance to get behind a guy and hope for his success, will be an inspiration to others. And I look at him as a fat slob. That guy, Jared Lorenzen. Earlier this week, Jared Lorenzen came out and debuted his YouTube story of how he had gained in upwards of over 200 pounds since finishing football, and now he had a week-to-week show to show him going from 500 back to what he weighed. Now, let me give people a little history of Jared Fat Boy Lorenzen. Jared Lorenzen was a quarterback at University of Kentucky, and he was fat. He was a 285-pound quarterback who could throw. I mean, go figure. I don't know how that happens, but if you go back and YouTube his games, the guy looked like a nose tackle with the ball throwing passes.
He could slang that rock.
But he could slang the rock. So the NFL said, hey, this guy can play. Let's get him. He went and played for the New York Giants. And because he never lost weight, he never got a chance to succeed in the league. Which is, you can't be that big. At some point, you got to lose weight. But instead of leaving the league as a chance to redeem himself and say, hey, man, I got to get down. I'm 285, I'm 300 pounds. I got to do something about this. No. Jared didn't do that. What did he say? He said, I can't believe they got rid of me because I'm a fat. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show them I'm going to get fatter. So Jared, as an ex-NFL player, ate his way to 500 pounds. Jared Lorenzen can barely walk a block right now. And what do we get? What is Jared Lorenzen going to get because he's rewarded himself with donuts and honey buns? He's going to get paid. he's going to get paid because what he's going to do is do a YouTube show with the Biggest Loser as his host, and they're going to go through the week-to-week trial of Jared Lorenzen going from 500 pounds down to a svelte human being. Now, you would say, you know what? That's an inspirational story because that guy could have just thrown it all away, and now he's fighting back. No, you know what I call that? I call that as a cash grab. What happened? Hey, Jared, when you were 285, and everybody looked at you and said you need to lose weight to play in the NFL, you said, "No, I'm gonna keep eating," and it bounced you right out of the league. And that wasn't your wake-up call because you gained another 215 pounds. So now you're a walking heart attack. But instead of saying, "Hey, let me lose this weight for the sake of living," he said, "I should make a little money off of losing this weight, so let's put this show together because people are going to watch it." So here's Jared Lorenzen pouring his heart out to us as if we're supposed to feel sympathy for him. I don't feel sympathy for you. I feel stupid for you because, hey, you could die on your way down. 500 pounds is 500 pounds, dude. You were one of the most coveted people in the world. You were a backup quarterback in the NFL. All you had to do is get in a little bit of shape, and instead of that, you put on 215 pounds. So now people are going to tune in every week and see you do something you should have done 8 years ago. And instead of getting paid to throw the ball, you're going to get paid to put the donut down. Well, congratulations. I'm glad it's going to work out for you. I hope you lose the weight, honestly. But I cannot congratulate a guy that ate his way to 500 pounds when he had every opportunity to lose it. So I know some people are not going to agree with me because obesity is a problem of national discussion in this country. You know what obesity is? Obesity is a lazy problem. And if you look at Jared Lorenzen and you don't see lazy bum, then maybe you're the problem. And I'm talking to you listening to this show. So hey, Jared, I don't know where you're at, but if I see you outside of the donut shop in Detroit and you walk out with a powdered donut and you got the hot chocolate in your hand and there's powder all over your mouth, I'm going to smack the donut out your hand. I'm going to knock the coffee to the road. And I'm going to say, "Hey, Jared, here's $1. Walk down the street because you're a bum."
There's two things that enter my mind. I don't know if you know when he was at about 300, he was playing arena ball.
Yeah, I remember. It looked ridiculous. The helmet was like, I don't know how you even saw it. It was so smashed on his face.
And it was a white jersey and green, and it just looked awful. And then the next thing I keep thinking is the dude that used to be on the Waltons that does all the diabetes commercials. He'd be like, "I got diabetes."
Yeah.
So like that's all I kept thinking because he is dude. He's that like pasty like kind of you.
Oh, he's got to have health issues.
He's like a ginger.
But I think I don't understand how you get that big. Look, some people not gonna like what I got to say about this. I don't understand how a man gets to 500. And it's, on top of that, I don't understand how you do it when millions of dollars are hanging over your head. I understand, like, if you slip 15 pounds. We're talking about 215 pounds.
I can clear all that up. Do what my grandfather told me.
What?
When I was little, as they used to say when I was a kid, you're not fat, you're husky. And I'm sitting on the porch when I'm like 8 or 9 years old. I was a big kid. I was growing in my body, but he said, "Rocco, you got to lose some weight." I was like, "Why, Granddaddy?" Because girls don't like fat boys. And as long as you keep that in your mind, every time you want to pick up that donut and chips, don't. Because girls don't like fat boys. So, I like that one. That's a good bubble wig.
I'm sure people are not gonna like it because it's about.
Well, you know what? You know what they say is the people that say money doesn't bring you happiness, people that don't have it. People don't want to talk obesity. If you're that mad about us talking about fat people, maybe you one of them people. Maybe that's why you're so mad.
Maybe you so mad.
Go get something. So
yeah.
I mean, and like you said, I'm sensitive if you got the thyroid or something like that. But like you said, a lot of it is about discipline and being lazy. And sometimes it's just like.
And a guy that had every opportunity to lose the weight.
Yeah. And you said, on his level, millions of dollars at stake, and you don't have the discipline.
And now we gotta watch the Jared Lorenzen show. Well, not we, because I'm not gonna watch it. But I saw the YouTube, so I was like, "What is this?" And I watched it. I said, "You gotta be kidding me! We about to see the chronicles of him go from 500 pounds down. That's what we about to watch."
I give it to him. Hope he does it. And hope he gets healthy. But Dom, what's up next?
All right, we got College Football Weekly. We're gonna start with Turk.
College football, it's funny because college football guys need $1. I like that. We got a little Florida State Seminole in there.
Little brother, older brother Rice in Florida State.
Yeah, that's right. But whenever I hear that, I always think about the Andre Wadsworths and I mean Florida State when they had it going. I mean there was not a crazier place to play. I mean who rushed the quarterback like those guys back in the day? You couldn't even drop back on a 5-step.
Nothing.
It was a race to the quarterback for a time there. Okay, so we're into college football, and it's funny that we almost played that I Need a Dollar because our first topic is about money, and once again, another strike against the NCAA.
I thought they were going to be your bums. That's what I thought it was.
No, they're not. I need to get more into because I need to do more research into this story to make sure this guy it ain't something more to the story than what it appears. Yeah. Because what it appears on the surface is the NCAA being the NCAA. That's what it appears to. So for those who don't know, the UFC kicker, his name is Donald De La Haye.
UCF.
The UCF kicker down in Central Florida. He's got a YouTube channel, and what he does is that all he does is chronicles his life as a college football kicker. He talks about camps. He talks about working with pros on his technique. He does all these things, and go figure, it got popular. People started to watch it. And what happened is and for those who don't know, if you play college football, you can't have a job because of the hours you work. It's so hard to make money doing anything else because it's a demanding job. So he found an avenue to say, hey, if I chronicle my life, I've got an opportunity that advertisers may come in and pay me for it. Brilliant. You think this is a brilliant case? No. The NCAA came and cracked down on him because they said that no player can profit off his likeness or image, which they're saying that him doing the show about chronicling his life is him profiting off his likeness. And no player can do it. Only us NCAA guys can do that. So
here, this is what they said: is you cannot use any picture or your status as a college football player, quote unquote student athlete, to promote your channel. You cannot run ads and monetize off of it.
Yeah. So NCAA cracked down, and what did they say? They said, hey, you either got to shut it down or you got to lose your scholarship. Well, I'm actually a little proud of the guy. We'll see. Hopefully, it works out in the long run because he decided to nix the scholarship, keep the show. And honestly, if we look at residual income and long-term asset, he made the right decision because the show's got an opportunity to last past this year. He's a senior kicker, so he's got 1 year eligibility left.
And he started a GoFundMe page, which people are dumping money.
And that's what I was going to say. So he's raised about $8,000 right now, which surprisingly I didn't know this, and maybe this is including expenses because he said he needs $30,000 to go to UCF. I always thought UCF was a Florida college.
He might be out of state.
He might be out of state though, so maybe that's why it's so expensive. He needs $30,000. He's at 8. I think once the story gets out, he's going to get the money. And since he's not a scholarship athlete, he still can play, but he's not going to be on scholarship. So I think he's in a win-win situation. And this may be one of the first of many. I think he's going to open up a situation in the NCAA. This may be a pioneer because if players can start to benefit off of their likeness and match their scholarship value off the field, then that is going to definitely be a deterrent from signing out those papers as an athlete. Now, think if I'm a 5-star athlete, and instead of signing out as a scholarship, I sign on to do a YouTube channel that's going to chronicle my day-to-day life at Alabama. Mm-hmm. People pay me to do the YouTube channel. I can still play because I'm not a college athlete.
And you think about this too. So this UCF is a small school, right?
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. And for you that don't know, if you have a YouTube channel, you need to get, once you surpass 10,000 views, then you can start talking about advertising all that. So you're looking at a guy that surpassed 10,000 views
from a small school,
and he's a kicker from a small school. Now the videos they've done very well, but now you look at a Jabril, or you look at DeAndre Francois or Lamar Jackson. How many followers do you have on Twitter? You take all those Twitter followers over to your YouTube, now you're looking at hundreds of thousands. There are people, if you don't know, like my nephew and your kids watched it, like that PewDiePie dude, and you get on your nerves. The guy's a millionaire from YouTube. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
I think it's going to be interesting. Don't be surprised if NCAA comes out with a rule and they change it from NCAA scholarship players. It's going to be NCAA participants, where they extend that rule to anybody playing, which is what it's going to do. It's going to change. This is a monumental point in NCAA because they're either going to have to let this guy do what he does, where he's still able to play, or it's going to change the preferred walk-on system. Because if they extend the rules of a guy, how much money a guy can make, to NCAA participants, then how does a guy who walks on a team who wants to play but has to earn money on the side to pay?
Well,
how does he make it?
What it is it's not that you can only, because I looked at this at Purdue, because this has been a situation.
You can only make X amount of
you can only make as
like
much
14.
as your scholarship covers that semester.
Yeah.
So for me, I was out of state student. Purdue was $22,000, so I can make $11,000. Now, like you said though, between January and May out of school, I don't have any time.
Yeah.
My day is from 6 a.m. until 8 o'clock at night. Then I got study table. I don't have time to make that money. So if this dude found a way that was very easy to go ahead and make some money, and they did that. So I don't know. We'll see what that is. But you know what I say? The NCAA. You talk about the mob. You talk about all this. These are the biggest gangsters.
The thing is, and you know what? It's you got to give them credit though, because nobody know. Like, it's almost like that Dick Tracy movie where, you know, the guy is always behind the shadow and he's got the hat on and he's got the voice. You don't know what this dude looks like, but you know every time they come in with the money, they put in that box and then they go out and then do more crime, right? That's the NCAA. Does anybody know what the NCAA looks like?
Dick Tracy.
Dick Tracy reference on the show.
Here's the worst part about it. We got to move on. Worst part about it is the school saw it and they didn't know anything's wrong with it, but they said, you know what? Let's contact NCAA and talk about it. I don't even think they really knew, and then they just came there and put the hammer down. They didn't even want to discuss. And what he said, I can't even go. If he went to being a UFC player, UCF player, and he didn't have anything but because people know he is, and he was on the beach with just regular students throwing a football, that's considered promoting football, and you can't do that. And he was like, that's not fair. It's like, I can't live my life and anything I do is automatically tied and associated with football.
Right.
And I hope it works out for him and he gets the money. But like you said, if he makes a stand and he sticks it to him, they're either gonna have to come out and really show that they're dicks about stuff and do that. So
I wonder if you so the rule is a player can't benefit.
No, a scholarship player.
A scholarship player
cannot benefit from his image or his likeness.
So
that's why there's no more NCAA college football.
Yeah.
Because the guys wanted to be using my likeness, you're not paying for, and they just scrapped it. But it's coming back, I heard.
So what if you started a company and was your roommate and he was the one that was monetizing?
Who's the company's name then?
Your roommate.
Your roommate's name.
Then you better have if your roommate chronicled your life, then kudos to your roommate. Hope he's paying you cash.
He pays you out when
But
you graduate.
the gangsters will come in and say, no, not so fast.
You gotta get a new roommate. You gotta get a new roommate. Oh, this is gonna come up with something.
But he can pay you out after you graduate.
Oh right? Yeah, absolutely. If you trust them, but you can't have a contract with them. You can don't sign a partnership.
That's true.
Don't let them find that. But it's good. I would say pay attention in the next couple of years. You're gonna see something called the Donald De La Haye case, and it's gonna be. I mean, I know that the O'Bannon twins was a big deal. I think this is along those lines where the NCAA is gonna have to do something
because they're reaching. They're over.
Yeah.
They're reaching.
Yeah, they are. But it's something that he's opened up a box, Pandora's box that players may. This is something that could really help the big time athletes coming out of high school, because you know these guys have Huddle, they got YouTube, Twitter. If they can start benefiting off their likeness to the point where they don't need a scholarship, then why would you sign? Just go walk on.
And this, I used to get mad about this in school, and this we'll have to cut it off at this. I would play in a bowl game all season long, bust my ass, go to a bowl game. We don't, we get a couple dollars here and there, but we come back to school. I don't even get my jersey. My jersey gets turned in after the game, thrown on washed up, and they take to the bookstore, and it sells for $100. My jersey that I actually wore in the game, we can't even keep that. So you're in every situation. Yes, we get a scholarship, and it's earned, and you do that. But that's played out. You are profiting billions off of the back of student athletes, which is basically, if you look up student athlete in the definition of indentured servant, it's literally the same thing. They took the guy that created the word student athlete took most of the definition from indentured servant. So I hope this blows up in their face, and finally there's some kind of something that comes up.
And I think I said this before, but when I was in college, one of my teammates did a case study. He broke down a Bowling Green scholarship and the amount of hours that you put in on the field, and it's different for every sport. I think as demanding as football is, people who travel during the week have the rawest deal, like the basketball players who have a road game on Tuesday. The hockey guys who got to go somewhere on Tuesday and then come back in school.
Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, they got a couple games a week and it could be road games. that's beyond unbearable. But he looked at the amount of hours that we spent versus what the scholarship was worth, and it was like it came up to less than $3 an hour when you add it up. So, people say, well, you get a scholarship, but at the same time, you're not getting paid. If they just paid you, minimum wage in that state for your scholarship, you at least walk away with some money, something. They don't even. It's not even worth that to the point. So, what's the argument at this point? NCAA just wants to keep all the money.
So real quick, just wanted to touch on a couple because we got a little inside information.
Insider.
Insider. So most of all the by the end, most college camps start on Monday. Most of them, Alabama start day. Most camps will be filled out by Sunday. So full blown college camp. Just everybody's interested. We're in Michigan, so I'll give it to you, little Michigan junkies. Right now, all this stuff that Harbaugh has been talking about is not. He's not just pumping his lips. There's a real and Turk and I talked about this on one of our first shows, is that there's a real competition between Spate and Brandon Peters. And right now, it's kind of leaning towards Peters. Like even this weekend, and he's closed. This is how you know this is a little inside stuff that I got from some people, is that he's keeping all the practices closed to the media. So right now, Will Spate's actually been in the beginning, he's been running second team and scout team. So it's also looking like maybe John O'Corn is pushed a little bit over Spate. Now, he may be doing this because he's a psychological mess and see if it drives Spate. But all in all, what I keep hearing is Brandon Peters is taking it serious. He's been in the playbook. And just from a physical standpoint, he's probably the best physical specimen they have. So right now, there's a real chance that, and I asked the person, I said, listen, do you think game 1, week 1, he's got to make, he said yes. If that's the case, he doesn't care anything about other than winning and who the best guy is. So he would put this red shirt over the senior.
And one thing, we talked about this when we talked Michigan, and we'll be, Michigan and Michigan State are going to be a topic we go on a lot around here. But one thing I said Michigan can go from an 8-win team to a 10, 11, 12 game win team if Brandon Peters takes the job from what's in Spate. Yeah. Because Brandon Peters is a more talented. He's a better quarterback. But if they get a guy who's a redshirt freshman, which means that he's taking the job from a established quarterback. So that means he's got to be damn good. So if he's damn good, then this offense has a chance to be special, because that means the quarterback's got a chance to be special. So I think best case scenario for the Michigan Wolverines is that Brandon Peters beats out Will Spate for that starting spot, because now I think your ceiling on your season is going up. And I love Brandon Peters from a arm standpoint, and you can tell a lot about a guy when you see the ball released from him, if he's got the talent. We don't know if he's got the makeup mentally and everything, but it sounds like he's going to be the guy, and I'm really excited to see if he can take that job and then how far he can go, because the first game is against Florida, and it's going to be a big test. But if he's ready for that, and Harbaugh's going to make sure the starting quarterback's ready, then he could be a big-time asset for that team for the next 3 years.
And you can use, I think part of it is, I look at Will Spate as kind of like a Alex Smith. Like, he's really not trying, with the receivers they had last year, he should have pushed the ball down the field a little more. And they say, what I was saying, Brandon Peters likes he got an arm, he likes to show it off. So, and they've got some speed guys that can get down the field.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the last half of the season, you start to see Will Spate slow down, and maybe people started to figure him out. But he was definitely a different quarterback. And then you see the spring game, he really looked bad. Mm-hmm. So it's a question of if Brandon Peters keeps trending in the right direction, and Harbaugh's always on no matter position, it's a meritocracy. If that's the way it's going to be, then Brandon Peters has got a legitimate chance to beat him, and that's going to be interesting to follow. Michigan State, what do you? I know the information came out the other day. I don't know if a lot of people read it. The stuff about the kids that got kicked off the team because of the rape allegations. I know we're putting that thing to bed. I don't know why I guess they had to release it.
Who released it?
I don't know if it's a FOIA. Is it like you have to release it because it's public information? Maybe that's why.
I mean, they had to release it to the Monday camp started.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I don't understand that. I mean, they blacked out a lot of stuff out of the report, but there was still some stuff in there that it was salacious stuff in there, which is from what we heard. That's what happened. I mean, that's how you get kicked off the team. It is what it is. But Michigan State, I read an article yesterday, and I thought it was very interesting. They said that the chip is back on Michigan State's shoulder. I said, is this about the chip? Because the chip was more about people not respecting them as an organization, as a program, or is this really about that so much turmoil, people don't think you can pull it together. Like it's not about respecting if you got talent. It's about the program is a mess. So which one is it?
I don't
What
know.
do you think?
I don't know if it's the same article we read. I read something like that. I think the chip is probably, if I can say this, an interior chip. I think D'Antonio. I think when you have success, and they had like 3-4 good years, I think you can all the things that you. That's why I like Nick Saban. It doesn't matter if he wins a national championship and he goes undefeated. He tightens those reins even tighter to an extent to make sure everybody's on. I think D'Antonio probably loosened up a little bit, and now this chip is he's getting back. And sometimes you need something like this. I think he's tightened back up to what he is, what he did, and what he does. And I think that they're ready to go now. Of course, young kids now. All this disrespect and all. You guys earned the disrespect you got because you went 3-9 and were a walking hot mess. But I think that they are. I think they are a team that can contend. I don't know if they can. I don't think they can beat Ohio State. I think they can. I think they can shock some people. And the more and more, me and you talk to some coaches there about Lewerke. He's a pretty good quarterback.
They say Lewerke is a very good. They say he's along that lines of Kirk Cousins, and
he said he could be. D'Antonio said this out loud, and the other coach that we talked to said the same thing. He said if he does what he's supposed to, he can be the best that ever played there.
Which is amazing because he came out of nowhere for me. I didn't hear that.
You watched that Michigan game, and before he broke his leg, he was doing some things, and he had Brown little twisted around because he can run a little bit. He's not a pure athlete, but he can make things happen.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see where he goes and if he can take it to the next level. I mean, they got to replace.
They got to replace some guys that they were counting on to
get kicked off the team. So it's interesting who's gonna be the skilled guys there. We haven't done it in a while. The number is 248-721-8570. You're here with the Rock and Turk Sports Show. First 2-hour show. We're going extended going into August and into the fall. Beef up because of the heavy fall sports, football, basketball after that. So we're here to talk right now. We're talking about the college football season. Obviously here locally, we got some big programs and a lot going on with them. We just talked about Michigan State, what they're going to do in a bounce back year from a lot of turmoil in the program. Obviously Michigan's got the quarterback controversy, which I think Harbaugh likes. He had one last year. He had one the year before. Yeah. 3 years of controversy. He thinks that pressure is going to produce a diamond. Hey, it's worked for him. I mean, he's one of the quarterback whisperers in college or pro, where he does a lot with the guy that he has. So if I'm a quarterback, I want to play for Harbaugh, and I definitely want to start. Because if I can start for a year or two, I'm probably going to the next level.
So with that, now that we gave everybody crying, we gave you a little Michigan and Michigan State update. So we're gonna start, moving around nationally the next couple weeks. But we want to make sure we don't have any. We hear about my Wolverines and my Spartans. But real quick, we got about 2 minutes left. I want to because we wanted to get this a couple weeks ago. Your top 5 Heisman contenders.
All right.
Okay, so I'll go. I'll let you go first, and then I'll go second, so I can destroy you.
These are my top 5, and they're not in any specific order.
They don't have to be ranked.
All right, I'm just gonna name top 5 because the Heisman race is such a wide open thing because it really comes. It's not like the NFL where the best player, he's gonna be the focal point, and from the beginning of the season that he's just gonna take off. I think the Heisman is kind of a coin flip.
They're going game to game now instead of the whole body. You can have a average body, and then you have RG3 big game against Oklahoma. They were 8-3. So it's more like you have a big game at the right moment, and then everybody's on your
Well, number one, the first guy I'm gonna go with, and it's a guy that's gonna be Big Ten country, and I think the guy is a special running back, and special. I mean, he's in that Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott range. Is Saquon Barkley, and if you don't know who Saquon Barkley is, he's Penn State's running back. And if you've never seen him play, all you need to do is turn on the Penn State USC game from last year, and you will see every type of play a running back can make in the last 5 years. I mean, some of the stuff this guy does on the field, whether it's running the ball or catching the ball out of the backfield, is simply amazing. And he does this at 215 pounds. So I think in a wide open offense, I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a huge year. I hope he stays healthy because I want to see that guy go to the next level and be another guy that's a top 10. I think he's a top 10 type draft pick because he's a special talent. So Saquon Barkley, I think, is a no-brainer. My next guy is Jake Browning, and I think Jake Browning out of Washington is a quarterback who I know he lost a couple offensive weapons, but that team is loaded, and they still got the same type of speed back. I think he's going to put up huge numbers in a weak defensive Pac-10, and he's going to always be in the race for that award. I think Jake Browning's going to be right there. He's going to be in the top 5 conversation. I don't think he's going to win it. but he's going to be right there. Another Pac-10 quarterback, Pac-12 quarterback I got is I think Sam Darnold. I love Sam Darnold from last year, the end of last season. That team too lost a little bit of talent, but like Washington, they had a great recruiting classes, and they're going to have weapons back, and they've got an established quarterback. And the guy, I know if you look at some of the guys out in the West Coast and what they're saying about Sam Darnold, they're talking about this guy could be the best quarterback in USC history, which is crazy when you think about some of the quarterbacks that came out of that program. But if they're saying that, guy must be special, and he's got all the tools. I think he's going to be right there in that conversation.
Well, I think the same thing you said about Saquon. If you don't know who he is, go watch that
Penn State. If you go watch that USC Penn State game, you're going to see two of the best players in college football. So, flat out, those are two guys that are going to be bona fide stars this year. My next guy that I have, and this is the guy that I don't know if a lot of people know, and because Oregon has struggled the last couple of years, is Royce Freeman. Royce Freeman is a senior running back. He's a bigger fella. I think for the first time that they're going to have a running attack, and he's going to have a chance to be a dynamic running back in that offense. Like I said, he's in a weak conference. I think he's going to put up a ton of yards because Oregon is going to have to depend on him to move the ball. You could see a guy like Royce Freeman run for almost 2,000 yards this year and score, upwards of 25, 30 touchdowns. I think he's got that type of chance this year. Rocco doesn't agree with me, but this is my part. So I got Royce Freeman. I think the guy's going to have a good year, and he's going to put himself into that conversation. All right, the last guy I got is a guy who's been in college forever. And I'm like, I can't believe the guy's still in college, but I know he got hurt and he's back. And he's one of the strongest players on the team. He's a workhorse. 5-star talent coming out of high school, Nick Chubb. I think Nick Chubb has a chance to go off the right way. I know he got hurt, and he if he doesn't get hurt, he's probably gone last year. He was having a great year last year. The only reason I don't put Nick Chubb higher on this list, I think he's a top 5 conversation. He's got competition with him. He's going to be sharing carries. They've got a couple of young guys who took his place when he was gone who were pretty good. So I don't know if he's going to have the touches that Freeman's going to have. Saquon Barkley's going to get the ball, 25, 30 times a game, whether it's running or catching the ball. He's going to get the ball. Same thing, I think Freeman's going to get the ball. He's going to be a bell cow because their offense sucks. They run a spread, but they don't depend on their quarterback. He's going to be the focus of the offense. Chubb has Eason. He's got a semi-Heisman candidate back there with him, which is Jacob Eason, who they're going to want to throw the ball, but Chubb's a very good running back. I think if he has a high per yard carry, he puts himself in that conversation with a couple big games early in the SEC. Those are my top 5.
All right, I'll run through real quick, got about 30 seconds. So that's not like a dark horse list, some of those guys. So I'm going to give you – so you got to give it back to the man who won it. He's coming back, Lamar Jackson. He's probably going to get better, stronger, faster, smarter. And it's one of those things that say maybe you could game plan against him, but he's just such a special talent. So I got him being in competition. Obviously, I agree with Turk on Sam Darnold. He's a good quarterback in a pretty good division out there. He's going to put up some numbers. Also, I agree with him on Saquon Barkley. I think if you go watch him, he's one of the strongest players in the country. He's very explosive and dynamic. Now, where I go now is down to LSU with Darius Geis. I think that he had 1,300 yards last year running behind Leonard Fournette, and he only had 185 carries. I think this is a guy who, in maybe they're still a good defensive conference. I think this is a guy that can hit 2,000 yards, and if Danny Etling can throw the ball around a little bit, he's definitely going to be there. I got to go with Jalen Hurts. He was a freshman last year. He was the SEC Player of the Year. He's got a better scheme down there, and if he worked on he's got a great deep ball, but he needs to work on his short game and going through his progressions. If he does that, I think he is there. And my dark horse, who depends on how their team does, but I think he's not getting as much love, is DeAndre Francois. I think if they go out and beat Michigan, and then week 3 or 4 they go out and beat Miami, I think he's on the list. And then from week to week.
Hold on, he's Florida State though.
I'm sorry, Florida State. That's
they don't. But no, I almost had DeAndre. They don't play Michigan.
No, I said Mac. No, you're right. I'm sorry.
But I almost put him on the list because I do think that he's going to be right on that fringe of having. He's got some tools. He's got some guys coming back, and he was pretty good as a freshman. Matter of fact, he was very good. So I agree with you there.
All right. Well, right now because of weather. We had a couple other segments that we'll bring in. We have a Rock and Turk sports book. We're going to get all you gambling fiends out there. We got a couple Dons, a couple Italian guys that are going to come in here and give you the breakdown of sports gambling and how we have our sports book. But because of the weather, they weren't able to make it. Also, our high school coach and high school player of the week weren't able to get in here because of weather. So we will be having that every week. We'll be having the Dons in here, and also every week we'll have a high school, college, or pro coach, and also a high school, college, or pro player of the week that we'll be speaking with. But we got a few minutes left, so what I want to touch on right now is high school football camp starts on Monday, as Turk said earlier. So let's get about a 6-minute overview of. I want to start off with the Michigan High School Athletic Association Division I. Just give me. We can't go through like in great detail, but give me if you got your top 10 teams or your top teams that you feel are in Division I that are going to make a run this year.
Ooh, top 10. You caught me off guard there. I don't know if I can go that deep.
Okay, well, give me your top 5. Then.
Okay, I'm gonna get in Division I football. I think no brainer, Cass Tech, and I'm gonna go from the top. I'm gonna go from the top down. I think this year, Cass Tech. You know, let me word this the right way because
I go fast.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're doing it very well. Meaning they had 24 guys come in on transfers that loaded up, already loaded team. They've got arguably the best player in the state at Gervin at cornerback, and they're loaded at a lot of spots. It's interesting to see who replaces them at their quarterback. Hall is gone, but the kid, I'm hearing that the kid hasn't played much. He's waited his turn, and he's pretty good. So Cass Tech, I think they're a top 20 team in the country. They're going to be very good. Number 2, for me, it's going to be interesting to see how good this team is because skill position-wise, their dynamic is going to be West Bloomfield. I think West Bloomfield's got all the skill. It's got as good a skill position from a quarterback to wide receiver to secondary to even linebacker. They've got as good a group as they've been in the state in a couple of years. They've got 2 guys committed to Wisconsin, and they've got a fleet of other receivers who are Division I players on their way up. They got corner who just committed there. Kyler Hurd just committed to Howard. Dwayne Thompson, who's got a couple D1 offers. They've got a linebacker who's a 2020 recruit who's going to be a big-time player in that program. They've got a lot of skilled players. It's going to be interesting to see what they do on the lines, if their defensive and offensive lines are going to be good enough to compete with a school like Cass Tech. After that, I think you can't go wrong with Catholic Central. I think there's power in numbers. Catholic Central returns a lot of guys. Biggest question mark, they lost their quarterback. But from a physical standpoint, they've got the offensive line back, and they've got all their running backs back. Changing offense, so we're going to see if they run something a little different other than a wishbone. How those guys adapt to it is going to be very interesting to see early. But I think Catholic Central is going to be right there. After that, I think Clarkston is going to be a pretty good team this year. They're my top 5, and to round out the top 5, I don't have one.
Well, you know what? I will give you some props because I got a lot of those teams too. So I didn't rank this necessarily in the order, but what I have is obviously being a Rice guy, don't have a lot of love for CC, but I do respect what they do, and every year, they undefeated or one or maybe 2 losses going to playoffs, and they usually run the table and they get in.
And they play Cass.
And they play Cass, or they play somebody, or they play Clarkston or Rome, or somebody who gives them beats the brakes off them. So I'm always happy about that.
Yeah.
But they have a good team come back, like you said. They're trying to switch up and get in this era of football.
Yeah.
So with that, they may and they've lost some kids. They lost Theo Dave, they lost Austin Brown, they lost Colin Gardner, some guys that are really good athletes. So now they're getting them, but guys are leaving. So now if they're going to change up and really try to throw the ball and be, like I said, in this century, they should be better. I also have Cass Tech. They're just a factory. I do say the only problem with them, though, is quarterback. If they don't have someone established, that's, you can have all the skill position in the world, but sometimes you got to throw me a first down. And I think that if it's, they play some teams or they don't do that. They had a tough game with Eisenhower last year. They had a Hail Mary to Donovan Peoples-Jones, which was a big game. But I do see them making, they don't play in a very powerful league. They really only have 2 tough games with King and East English, so they should make the playoffs. Also have West Bloomfield. They're loaded with talent. Really shouldn't be an excuse this year. They got quarterback going committed. They got receivers everywhere. They got DBs.
Quarterback's going to Bowling Green.
I don't know how their O-line is.
OBG.
I don't know what their O-line is, but this is a year where they should make, if they don't win it, they should make a deep run. And then I also have Clarkston. They're kind of like, I don't know, when I just think of gym rats. They always just have those nitty-gritty, maybe not go to college type guys, but they're a good team.
The program, and it's power in numbers.
Yes, absolutely. So some of the other teams that I added on here, got Southfield. They're up and coming. We know some of their coordinators. They have talent. Some of that talent, like you said, transferred out, went to Cass, but they had other guys that they have talent. I would like to see them. I think it's the same way as West Bloomfield. It's time for them to start advancing in the playoffs and make some noise, especially with the combined schools. Obviously, you want to swing over to the east side. Dakota and Eisenhower are always good. They're stacked.
Another team that are power in numbers. I mean, Dakota has
they're huge schools.
They're huge schools.
So
and anytime you got that many guys, you're gonna find some players.
And Eisenhower's coming back. These are, it may sound a little chalk, but these are, when you get down to it every year, these are the teams that are left over. So I'm gonna stick with them. Saline kind of popped up last year, every once in a while. So I don't know. They have a decent amount of guys coming back.
I will say this about Saline, because I watched some video of them. They've got a better program than I thought, and I almost think Saline had a linebacker who was walking on in Michigan, if I remember properly. But I watched the tape, and I like what they do from a schematic standpoint, both offensively and defensively. And I love those bright yellow uniforms. They stick out a lot. So yeah, I like Saline.
Next team I got is Rochester Adams. They run a program. Basically, they went into the Little League systems, and they said, here, we're going to have you guys, coaches, run this from 4th grade on. So when these guys get to high school, this system they know it inside out. So it's just about basically plug and play. Who's the best guys you put in there? They're up in they used to be in Division II down with us. Now they're up in D1, and it looks like they're going to make a run. They were in the playoffs last year, and they got a pretty good team coming back. So, and then the last team is, I don't know a lot about them, I'm not going to lie, but I know that because it's way out there on 29 Mile and whatever, but is Romeo. Last couple years, Romeo they won I believe they won a state title 2 years ago, and then they've been pushing deep into the playoffs every year. I think that's who the CC beat them to get into the conference, the semifinals of the state. So this is a very competitive. These are all big schools, big numbers. So but if I had to choose, what I'll say is I'll give you my final 4. I'm going to have to plug CC in there until somebody figures out has enough to beat them. I'm going to throw Cass Tech in there because talent is just, you can't overcome talent. It's got a lot of talent. Dakota, I think they lost some guys last year. They had 2 really good receivers, and they lost those guys. I'm going to go with I'm going to give West Bloomfield the nod. I think they got a lot, and they need to. So maybe it's a need to thing. And then there's a lot of good people, but I'm going to go with Adams. With what I've seen up there, I like Clarkston, but I'm going to go with Adams and say they're going to push deep. So that's kind of my early Final 4. My dark horse though, which is not on right now, I want to see because they lost some guys, but Bloomfield Hills. They got a really good quarterback in John Paddock, just committed to Ball State. They lost a good running back and a couple receivers, but I saw them out there practicing the other day. They got some weapons. Defensively, I don't know what they can do. They might get some shootouts, but they made the playoffs last year, and then he got a concussion, and I think if he would have won, they would have moved on a little bit deeper. So that
I would take Clarkson over Rochester Adams just because I think that program is a little more established, and I've got more faith in them. The one that I think the sexy pick, and is West Bloomfield, and I need to see them early, and we're going to get a chance to see them pretty early in the preseason. The front 7 like in high school football, I know it's underrated, but when it comes down to that taking that next step, you got to be at least solid up front. And I got a lot of questions when I see a lot of talk about top players, and I never see a lineman in that group ever.
They send some D-ends out every once in a while.
I wonder. I'm here locally. I'm just wondering who's blocking, who's rushing the passer, who's stopping the run up front. That's going to be the question with them because that's how when you have a bunch of skilled players on the outside, what teams are going to do is say, okay, we're just going to run right at you because we're not going to test you guys on the outside too much. We're going to run right at you and see how much you want to stop the run.
Well, that's why we play the game.
That's why we play the game, yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening tonight. Sorry, like I said, because of weather, some of our guests couldn't get here, but we will have a full lineup next week with our high school coaches and a couple high school players and also our gambling don. So before we get out of here, just want to let you know that today's show was brought to you and sponsored by Blaze Contracting. I called him before. He was good.
Self-performance mass, surgical, excavation, aggregate installations, land balance and grading, storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water installations throughout Michigan, Ohio, and Nevada. Blaze has successfully completed many high-profile projects and is a preferred vendor for many established major corporations, developers doing business in Detroit and across America. Currently, Blaze has several major projects going
Slowly
on,
turns down.
including
Like all the way down so you don't hear it, or you still want it in the background?
You got some new. I don't know if this is something new.
No, it's the same.
Junior Mafia?
No, this is right. What about
Yeah,
okay.
see back to 94.
I won't be surprised. We might start rapping.
Yeah, we gotta come up with another intro. I couldn't. Right.
Administrative needs provided by Blaze that will ensure that your project will be completed on time and within budget. Allow Blaze to light the fire for you and pave your road to success. Give them a call today. Call 313-361-1000 or visit their website at www.blazecontracting.com.
Well, sports fans, we've concluded our first 2-hour show on the Rock and Turk Sports Show. Thank you for tuning in for us this week. If you didn't get a chance to hear us live and you wanted to check us out, you can hit us on Twitter at Rock and Turk Sports with a Z, or you can check us out on our Gmail at Rock and Turk Sports Show, rockandturksports@gmail.com, rockandturksports@gmail.com. Facebook, The Rock and Turk Sports Show, one word, The Rock and Turk Sports Show, one word. Tune in next week. Like Rocco said, we're going to have a couple special guests. We're going to be talking about high school football, so we'll have a coach and a player in here to be named later. And Rocco's got his new segment, his Dons, where he's going to give you some new insider information, and we'll just call it on which place you want to put your potato chips. So you decide what you want to do with that. Also, we're going to be talking about the South, the dirty South of the NFL. We got the NFC and the AFC. Obviously, a lot of movement in those two conferences, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year. Also, tune in with us. We've always got the bum of the week, and it never fails us. Make sure you check us out on our podcast, our iTunes. Always something to hear about. Any comments, make sure you do it on Facebook, Gmail, or our Twitter. Rocco, what you got?
Nothing, man. It was a good show, man. I'm worn out. A lot of information. We like I said, I wish we could have got to the other guys, the interviews in here, because we had some pretty good guys coming in. But like Turk said, stay tuned every week. It's with sports ramping up. We're going to have college coaches, pro coaches, high school players, pro players. So it's going to be action-packed, man. And just keep your ears out and keep listening.
And get money.
Get money.
Get money. Get no money. Man.
Anybody call me? I thought you on the show when you called.
People know we got a long show.
I think
That didn't last long. Like when you think about 2 hours.
we also, because we